by her first name, I would get her attention somehow.
Mum.
No, I couldn't call her mum. I've got one mum.
So
I can't call no one else mum but mum.
Clap. And then when she looks at you, you start talking.
No, it's you know what it is?
And then when she looks at you, yo,
are you Kenyan? Is that Kenyan or something? I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's doing. But my point is... My point is...
Wiley, are you being serious right now? Are you doing this up?
I'm telling you, creeper's creeping on him.
I'm deadly serious.
It's creeping on him, bro.
I'm deadly serious.
Wait. Hold on.
This is a mad thing.
Let's be sensible. So what you're saying to me is... Go on. You intentionally, because you're saying you think about this, you are not going to call her mum because you've only got one mum. I'm not going to
call my partner's mum. No.
I respect that.
What? Yeah.
But you're not going to call her out of... No. Hold on. You're not going to call her by name because culturally we don't do that.
Yep.
So you would literally try to find a way to get her attention.
Smash her glass.
Without disrespecting her. Because that, for me, that's the hardest part. I can't go...
And that's the thing. It's a thing where...
I just got to stand in front of her.
I'd love to be in your house for Christmas dinner.
No, seriously. It's a thing. And the thing is, a lot of people... It's mad because a lot of people have got the same issue. I thought it was just me. I never realized so many people had the same issue of... Especially people coming from a West African background. We don't ever call nobody Mr. or Mrs. something. That's disrespectful. We don't ever call anybody mum because we got one mum. I would never call someone else mum or dad because I've got one of them. I'm never going to give someone else. Auntie is I wouldn't want to call somebody else auntie like that because auntie's like a bit of a. It's less personal.
So hey yo is a better way. Yeah, hey yo.
Brother, I was
say hey yo.
Years old when I learned this.
I don't say hey yo.
I just want to move on from this because he's saying he's just telekinesis contacting elders to have conversations.
You know when you phone them on the phone,
just go
and just go quiet.
Big, bold, low, tall.
So me, following on from Wiley's point, I call all of your mum's mum. I just about know your mum's real name. But if I see them, I'll say mum. I mean, Buddy's mum, we argue a lot, which is fantastic. So sometimes I'll be like, but mum. And then I'd say her name to try and bring the energy down. And then, you know what I mean? She'd be like, oh, and whatever else. So we've got a really good relationship like that. But I call, all of your mums. I wouldn't say their name. And I wouldn't say Mrs. I mean, maybe Steve-O's mum. But outside of that, I'd expect my children to stop calling me daddy roughly around 10.
And dad.
10 to dad. Never, yo, citrus, well like to get my attention without...
Or just hover around you to try and
get my eye contact. No.
All right, so for you, never? You call him daddy?
I don't think I've... It's funny, I used to always call my dad Pops rather than dad or daddy. Well, so I never always... I just randomly started calling him that. It's like my own personal endearment to him because all my brothers and sisters call him daddy. But when I refer to him, to them, I call him daddy still.
But you never called him daddy, like, to get
I did
his
call
attention.
him daddy, way older than I don't even know when I started calling him Pops.
Okay.
But
there was a transition.
Daddy. Yeah, but I always called him daddy. Never called him dad.
Okay.
I might say my dad if I'm referring to him to someone else, but to him personally, when I talk directly to him, I'll say daddy.
Because the thing is, I'll be honest with you, I remember you calling him Pops.
That's my word for him still.
Yeah, I remember you calling him Pops. So when you said that, I was like, yeah, you're not thinking. But anyway, next to the never dude in the corner.
You can call me daddy until whenever he wants to. I don't. There's no stop for me. I don't understand. I actually don't understand the question.
Okay, let me put it the other way around then. If your son started calling you dad, are you okay with that?
Yeah, call me whatever he wants to call me. Like,
from any age.
From any age. Dad, daddy.
Buddy, yeah?
No, dad, daddy. That I would call my mum. I'd say mummy. Calm. If I'm ready to say mum, I'll go mum, mummy, mum, mummy. I call her anything like. It will be mum or mum.
Yeah, mum. We didn't mean that. Forgive him.
It's mum, mummy, like I'm mother. Do you know what I mean? I don't understand when you're saying. Is there a point where you should stop saying daddy or mummy? No. If you don't feel to, then no.
Right?
I don't think there's an age thing on it. It might change from daddy to dad, but whenever that happens, it happens. I'm not like buddy. I don't understand the question. I get the question, but I don't think it's an issue. You're his dad.
So if your 3-year-old called you dad, you'd be all right with that?
Doesn't matter.
So the reason I'm asking because I had a friend who was going through this, and his son has always been calling him daddy, and his son's below the age of 6. And then one day, the son always calls him daddy. One day, the son called him dad. And it made him stop in his tracks. It's like, when did it go from...
Same thing happened to me.
When it go from daddy to dad. And it's actually a significant moment because it's, to the child, you're now... It's not, obviously, he's not on the same level as you, but he's a little bit stronger. Yeah, a little bit stronger, just a little bit more of recognition. So I just wanted to hear how you lot had experienced that and if it would make you feel away when that day comes when you get that. All right, moving on. Another ever so slightly broken question. You've got a customer. The customer fancies you.
Oh, that's right.
They've made it obvious.
Price gone up.
Never made a move on you or anything, but they've made it obvious.
Price gone up for real.
So this is messages. Do you carry on? You've got a partner. Do you carry on doing the job for the person, or do you?
Yes.
You're still on.
You can feel however you want to feel.
Yeah.
That ain't gonna stop me.
I'm professional at all points.
I'm earning my money.
Yeah, that's it.
Knowing that the person likes you.
Doesn't matter. So what do me?
Do I like them?
Oh,
I'm not telling you how you feel, bro.
I mean, some of us are more used to this kind of experience than others. So we're not going to be able to answer it the same way. But now, what it comes down to is just stay professional. Like, soon as, like, even if you weren't in a relationship, as soon as you blur the lines, there's room for unnecessary negotiation, which none of us want. Just here's my price. Well, go on. It's not like middle of the night. I'm going to drive to their yard, knock the door. Like, yo, remember I'm the guy from earlier. I don't mean.
Wait, well, when you say the person likes you, is it a thing that you're in the yard and I'm using you two's professional? Bro, so you're in the yard and the door's open naked while you're trying to move to Chester Jaws.
No. That's a little bit fairy tale.
Yeah, well then, okay.
I mean, for some it might be fairy tale, for some it might be reality.
But the person like you, they made it obvious. You know, let's take the heat off you two. Tongo. Yeah, you
start cutting someone's hair,
and you know the person,
and then kiss you on your hand when you're deep up their beard.
She comes in and she's like, "Yeah, give me a short bag of sides."
When he was shaking up his bed,
and then
your man starts sweating.
She ain't kissed your hand, but she kind of did it in such a way that your hands accidentally caressed her face. Are you carrying on the customer, or what are you doing?
I can't stop the haircut middle of the haircut.
No, not stop the haircut, but when they come in next time, when they phone you and say you can have an appointment,
money to money, bro. They can relax over there. It's fine.
I said the bread's
even though they kind of caress up your hand while
I'll just tell them how to behave in it. It's not that hard.
We know when Tongo gets his fingers sucked at work.
Fingers sucked, Ross.
Only because that's your head's on the head, isn't it?
You're moving mad.
All right, cool. All right. Today, we are going to be talking about a topic that's going to get everyone's backs up. But this is the eMpTy podcast. My name is Sirelli, ever so slightly broken. To my right, we have
Mr Wileycat DJ.
And to his right, we have
Rain Nelson.
We have to have a pause after that. And after Rain, we have
Tongo.
Citrus City.
The war has started.
Citrus City. Yeah.
And to the right of Citrus, we have...
Man like Tongo, you don't know hay fever's killing me, but me there.
Yeah, we didn't abuse him. However he looks, he's got hay fever. For all the hay fever sufferers out there,
I never got beat up. It's not a black eye.
Sympathize with him. And to his far right, we have finally...
Buddy in the building, a.k.a.
Sorry.
Oh, right. That actually cut out the whole thing. You got to say,
you know what I mean? I got to say it. Buddy in the building.
That's cool.
Problem, innit?
Got it.
Buddy in the building, a.k.a. The Truth.
Right. So Mr. Boom came to me and said he's got one question that he wants to ask before we start the podcast.
It was something. It was only something small that I saw on Google, and it said Jamaican Patois is an actual language. I didn't know it was a language. You know, I thought it was a dialect. So
it is a dialect.
Is it actually a language?
It's a dialect.
All right. So wait, let's do this. How many people agree it's a dialect?
Firstly, where did you get your source from? What was
Google.
your source?
Wait,
There must be
Google.
more detailed source than that.
Just on Google.
How many people agree it's a dialect?
It's a dialect.
I would say yes.
Yes,
I would say it's
I
a
do
dialect.
So nobody says it's a language.
No.
Yeah, it wouldn't be come down in language.
It's hard because I'm pretty sure it's something that can have the requirement to be translated.
Well, officially, it is actually a language.
So I was going to say, with that in mind, then I have to class it as a language, but culturally, to us is
So if somebody asks you, you're part Jamaican, I understand you speak 2 languages.
So the language,
I'll take it.
so the language is called Jamaican.
No,
it's called
Patois.
Patois. So then, what is someone who comes from St. Lucia?
Jamaican Patois.
Jamaican Patois. So someone that comes from St. Lucia or Trinidad, is
I
that
think
Creole?
the official term is Creole.
Yeah,
what? So the accent that Trinidadians speak.
Not accent.
No.
The language
Language.
spoken in St. Lucia is
Creole.
called Creole. We call it Patois.
But Trinidad don't have
I
a...
think it's called Creole. All right.
language.
So one of us can talk, or we can both harmonize.
Harmonise,
I feel like I'm battling. So if you were to go first, I'll follow.
One of you, please.
So the language in St. Lucia is called Creole, but we refer it as Patois.
Right.
So they speak the Creole in St. Lucia,
Dominica, a few other countries.
but a few other. They speak it in Trinidad. They speak it in St. Vincent, but it's now a dying language because it hasn't been passed down to generations.
Question, is that based off of French?
Yes.
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 So all those countries, including Trinidad, were all French colonized.
Colonized at one point.
Was Trinidad French colonized?
I don't know. That's what I was
I don't
asking.
believe it was. It was Spanish.
Spanish.
Yeah.
I think to be honest, lots of the islands change hands so many times. It's really hard to know who's done what.
So to give an example,
But
St. Lucia.
7 and 7, isn't it? English 7 times, French 7 times.
Yeah. So
Sorry, you got to explain that. What do you mean?
So
7 and 7?
so when it was colonized by the French. Then the English said, "No, we want that." The French said, "No, we're taking it back." And the English said, "No, we're taking it back." And this happened 7 times.
the
7
war.
times.
So the
Okay.
war was going on. So when you go to St. Lucia, one end of the island has a fort that was built by the French. You go to the other end, there's a fort built by the British. And they advanced from both sides and fought. And as I just said, I'll be honest with you, I can't remember how many times, but yeah.
No,
we won
definitely-
today.
It's 7 and 7.
So from what you're saying, does that refer to where View Fort is?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So if you've got being one end and Grosley Lake being the other.
No, you know what it is? Because
You want to show people he's travelled.
It even arrives with the arrivals.
that's right, man.
He
That's
didn't
right,
see
man.
it. He
That's
didn't see
right,
it.
Didn't
He
catch
didn't catch it, bro. He
That's
didn't
right,
catch
man.
it.
That's right. No, I caught it already. I caught it already. Shouts out to Hayes that me shot with my arrivals t-shirt. You
You have
know,
to move your microphone so we
Don't
can see
worry.
it properly.
so I'll stand up later, but I want to make sure that I'll give them the shouts and the props and everything. We are going to have them on the podcast fairly soon. He's got their story of how they actually started their clothing label. Very interesting. Very
What's the
interesting.
name?
Hey, is that me?
Hey, is that me?
Hey,
and
Is
they
That
have a
Me?
clothing label.
They have a clothing label called Hey, Is That Me? That's what the actual label's called.
Nice.
I like that top though. It's nice.
And,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
what kind of things are on the clothing label?
They got hoodies, they got t-shirts, they got various array of clothing. When he does come on, shout out to Eddie. When he does come on, he can explain the whole story. It's an interesting story. Put it this way: the inspiration for the clothing line came from his children, his daughter.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, his story is really, really inspiring. So I can't wait to get him on. But yeah, shout out to him. Shout out me the t-shirt. Definitely very happy with it.
Well, as we're doing shout outs,
I was going to say, no, our sponsor.
today,
Today,
sponsor.
So today our show is sponsored by Creeper Punch. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that other word.
It's Creeper Punch.
Creeper Punch.
So
So a brand has reached out to us, and basically they are in their testing phase, and they're testing their different recipes.
Yes.
For firstly a punch, which
Tropical
they are.
punch?
It's a flagrant punch, which
Nice.
may have some good effects afterwards. You know what I mean?
Right.
Quite akin to like a rum punch you might get into in a restaurant. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Or in a hotel. So what it is, they're in the testing phase, they're working with different recipes. And what they wanted us to do live on air is to open, taste, and give our honest feedback.
Right.
Okay? Honest feedback. So I'm going to keep talking.
They want the truth.
They want
They want the truth from the truth.
I'll let you know.
I got my thing here.
Yeah, so
where's your thing?
No, I'm gonna keep talking while you open.
Oh, while we open up.
So what it is, the punch is set to be properly released at Carnival, where you may see a stand or you may see an installation of some sort going around.
It says creeper, and it's got footsteps to say creep.
Like, you understand? Yeah, but in regards to creep, if something's a creeper. Right. Like a drink is a creeper.
Just walk up on you.
You've drunk it, and it just
sweet, strong, and refreshing.
You know what? I must admit, the bouquet is quite nice.
No one ain't tasted it yet. I've been talking. I'm waiting for you to taste it.
Rotted.
Okay. Yeah. So that's the reaction. That's the reaction.
You know, it's got
Oh, this is banging. Yeah, this is proper.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a Tongo special.
I don't know if it's a creeper.
My name's on it. I got a Tongo special. It's definitely not a Tongo special. You get my name on everything.
Let's do this round the room. So let's go. Buddy, you go first, and then Tongo.
It's got a lot of loud steps. Is the best way I can put it. No, but it's got a lot of loud steps.
Flavoring.
Yeah, it's flavoring. Okay, I can feel that one.
Citrus.
No.
Oh, Tongo.
Raw.
I'm looking at the ones that have got the infusion, and then the last one has to be the one without the infusion.
I agree with that.
Well,
just talk. Yeah,
go on.
I like the flavour. It's a little bit sweet, even though I've got sweet tooth. But yeah, man, I like it. A good solid 7 to 8 out of 10.
Okay. Citrus.
I definitely do like it. It's nice. It's got a crazily citrus undertaste. So I definitely like that. You can taste rays coming through, which I can appreciate because I don't like the taste of ray. But if you can disguise it in a way that will have me drinking the creeper, I'll be nice fan.
All right. You want to give it a 1 score while you're?
I wouldn't like to do that.
Okay. No.
I'd give mine a.
I've got you left.
Yeah, I've been knocking it back. Mate.
That thing definitely creeps on
knocking
Wiley.
it back. I'll give it a 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. I think for me, I do like sweet punches, and I do like a lot of the fruity flavors of it. So for me, 8 out of 10.
Thank you. Yeah. I must agree with Buddy. Creeper, don't be fooled. You hear it coming loud, but I actually like that taste. For me, it's an acquired taste, and when it's in something, it makes me happy. This is the alcoholic at heart speaking. I think this chilled cold with ice is definitely a win. I'm a man that likes a drink. Let's put it that way. This, yeah. I want another bottle, full size.
Yeah, you know what it is? So you've got 2 types of punch. You've got punches which are made, which are syrup based. So like when you get a bottle, it's basically see-through, but obviously in the colour. And then you get stuff which looks like it's made with juices. And I prefer the juices. Element.
It preserves better.
Does it? Oh, really? Okay. I think it just tastes better, and it gives more. Like when you get a good rum punch, you know what I mean. It's made with proper fruit juices. You know what I mean. The syrup stuff, I really hate it, and that's what we tend to see in. You know when you buy bottles of rum punch from shops or whatnot, you always get that, and I think this is a good alternative to those things. But it'll be interesting to know what they do with the final product if they tweak it a little bit.
Agreed.
If they make it a little bit stronger, less sweet, because I think you can go either way. But nice little start for the product.
Yeah. Respect goes out to Darren.
Twisted Soul.
Yeah.
Shout.
Creeper rum punch coming soon.
Yeah, and it will be available for Carnival. So keep your eyes open, ears open, look at, and you can't forget the name, Creeper. So. Yeah.
Gully Creeper.
Are we doing a roundup? Or
we're roundup. We are.
I want the pace. I want the pace to pick up a little.
Yeah.
All right. Finally. Let me flick. Right, okay, quite a serious one. So today, a guy called Marcus Monzo. Does anyone know who he is?
No.
Right. So last year, April, I believe it was last year. It was last year, April. There was an attack on a 14-year-old boy who was almost decapitated by a man. So you guys know about it because we discussed it. So he was convicted today. of murder. I think it was one count of murder, 3 counts of attempted murder, and 1 count of, I think it was grievous bodily harm. Grievous bodily harm is because when he was trying to flee from the police after he killed the boy, he ran into someone's house where they had the mum, the dad, and the child roughed them up, basically. The issue with it is that what's come of it, so that's happened. Guilty, should be guilty, you know what I mean? Like, lock away, throw him in a cell and lock away the key. But what his defense said is that this was part of a psychotic episode, which came from the fact that he smoked cannabis, which has now brought a debate to say, should cannabis be banned?
Reclassed?
Banned, full stop, in the UK, because it causes this element of psychosis. Now, I don't know how many cases we had of this in the UK, but there's a big debate. Now, I know, like, I'm talking about this, and enough of my bedrooms are like, "Raw, Rain, what are you talking about this for? We'd have to ban," you know what I mean? But what's your guys' thoughts on the banning of cannabis?
I have a very controversial stance.
Go for it.
So, unknown to many, the UK is one of Europe's top producers of medicinal cannabis.
Really?
Yeah. So trying to get that through a court, because if it's a total ban, then you're also including medicinal. And unfortunately, and obviously condolences go out to this young boy that's lost his life, they do the risk versus reward.
Daniel Anjorin. Sorry, I should have said his name out of respect. R.I.P. to Daniel Anjorin, 14 years old.
So out of risk versus reward, I doubt that based on this case alone, it will bring to a point where they're going to say, for the tens of thousands or maybe hundreds of thousands that are benefiting from medicinal cannabis, that this episode will remove this product from the market.
Okay.
My view is that it's an excuse. Forget about the fact of for me, the cannabis debate is a sideshow to what actually took place, because the story was very harrowing about what happened. It was an excuse to say, well, he was under the influence and that is the reason why he did what he did. Ultimately, I don't think the cannabis debate should be linked in any way to what he did, because we don't link.
But that's a defense, though.
Yeah, that's
a very easy way.
But we don't, because we don't link what happened in Southport to anything that the boy went through.
Bro.
We don't. So why are we now linking cannabis and his cannabis use? No, he killed people. He killed someone. He tried to kill many people.
Yes.
That's it. That's the bottom line.
With a sword.
So if you want to talk about he was so high on the drugs and whatever.
Well, no, not that he was high. The amount that he smoked has called a psychotic episode. So what they're saying is, if you smoke weed this much, it will lead you to do this. There's a study which has said is that if you start smoking weed at, I think it's between the age of 15 to 18, your brain isn't fully developed. Therefore, it changes your brain chemistry. Now, I've always heard, and I'm not a weed man, so I don't smoke, but my bedrooms smoke. But they will say, "Raw, it's the seeds."
What I can say in terms of weed now, I've seen the effects of someone having a breakdown.
A bad reaction to it.
No, a breakdown. They actually had a proper breakdown. He weren't talking to nobody. I just go and one of my close friends. I go and chat to him. I'd talk to him through a door because he was that heavily smoking and that heavily affected by it. It doesn't affect people. But I mean, people like to try and lighten how it affects people's mental state. It affects people's mental state very heavily. So for me, I think we underestimate the effects that weed has. But I don't think it should be linked in any way to what took place.
2 comments, we're going to move on. You, then you.
So I'm not a smoker or the weed cakes or the teas or whatever. However, we know there are different strands. There is the natural strand, and there's all of these artificial, these mix and blends and whatever else.
Chronolite, if you know Cat Williams, but yeah.
So what I would I suppose suggest and put out there is, for those that are twisting and combining and doing all of these chemical combinations, the outcomes to those cannot be classed the same way of someone that's smoking potentially a natural herb that's grown on God's green earth,
King Solomon's grave,
around the corner, buddy.
So
final point.
All right, mine's a little bit long-winded, but first and foremost, I don't believe they should ban it. All right. However, all right, there are certain things that I would actually say about it. Weed affects every person differently.
Yes, I agree.
And people don't understand that. Do you know what I mean? And this comes from, there's probably a few of us in the room that's done it. All right. I mean, I've tasted a weed cake, for example, before. All right.
Same.
And
overseas legally.
But I had a weed cake and it don't have that nice effect on myself. For example.
You know the right one.
Lace your crack.
Idiot. Because I know you've had one and it messed you up. So let's not even go into that.
As I said,
was it the same cake?
Lace your crack.
Was it the same cake as yours?
Nah, not the same one.
Okay, so
but
their
anyway,
ones might have been the real thing and yours might be...
And it didn't send them to a good place. All right? So all I'm saying to you...
I was crying.
I was crying. But you was definitely doing
Let's put it this way. M&S don't make cake. But if they make cakes...
Go on, buddy, quickly.
Yeah, so basically, it affects everybody differently, innit? And I would say to everybody, like, so when he's come up with saying to himself, he had that episode, he could have had a psychotic break, and that might be the reason that he done what he did.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? However, that obviously doesn't make him any less accountable for what happened. However, he shouldn't have had the weed in the first place if that's the case. But know to yourself, it can affect you differently, and it does affect everybody differently. And some people need to take things in different portions and so on and so forth. So they just need to be a bit more cautious of how they're doing it.
Right, okay. Moving on quickly. I'll go a little bit jovial. So, in a recent poll, 57% of people believe they can survive a zombie apocalypse.
He's number one.
Do you?
There's 1% in it.
1%, Jeff, please, I beg you. Go on.
Do you believe you could survive a zombie apocalypse? Now, let me give you what the detail of a zombie apocalypse is, because you lot all just think it's just man, women, zombified running around. To have a zombie apocalypse, you have to have some kind of nuclear or atomic explosion. So you've got to survive that firstly. Then you have to survive the fallout. Fallout is when you've got the chemical particles in the air that will disintegrate your skin. Then, if you're lucky enough to survive all of that, you have to survive the zombies. Now, zombies, as I don't know if anyone knows about Neil deGrasse Tyson, astrophysicist from NASA.
Yep.
He says it's impossible to have zombified people because you'll just die. But let's just say for the argument, you have zombies walking around. Could you survive all of that?
Running zombies or walking zombies? That is important.
Let's do the slow ones. Let's do the slow ones. Let's do the slow ones. Yeah.
Have I got a car?
You got a Tesla.
I'm good. I'm making it. Not all of you are making it. I'll be real.
I'm good, bro.
I'm kicking a couple of you out of the car. I can't lie. Like,
So you open it, you're dead.
When I think about survival skills, and who could survive, but maybe my soul friend gonna make it, but I'm gonna make it.
But what part of it are you talking about? Survive? Because remember, do you know how to survive a nuclear bomb?
I'll make it work, bro. Pop. I'll make it work.
Well, I've got to say, shouts out to Mustafa King. He says he said we had one COVID that was the start. So people didn't even manage dealing with a COVID. Talkers were dealing with something like that.
We did. So based on that,
weeded, as in those that are weeded.
Everyone that's watching this podcast,
those that were weeded.
Everyone that's seen the TikTok, everyone seen the Instagram.
Everyone weeded. So therefore, the first phase,
dealt with.
You know,
you dealt with.
For me, I think I would find a way to survive. But as Citrus has said, I think there's some people that would make it very difficult because their panic levels.
I couldn't take it.
I couldn't take it. I'd throw them out the car.
Yeah.
Oh shoot.
Because they will. You know
what
I mean? You got them people that are just like
like Tongo donuts. Like, yo, bro.
Remember the film Airplane, where there's the woman that keeps screaming, and the whole people keep
yeah.
That's what you would have. You would have people that would be going all out of their mind.
Round the room. Who's surviving? Really?
I'm surviving. 100%. I'm surviving.
Rain Man.
I would survive if I knew that we had, like, say, half an hour before the bomb dropped. I would survive 100%. If the bomb drops now, we're dead.
Yep. We know what it's in.
Well, you could survive in this.
Okay,
when we got to the zombie part.
If the bomb drops, what train station you going to?
Well, you haven't got time. What? And you got half an hour?
Yeah.
Hampstead Heath.
Angel.
I'm going to go with the man that knows the train line.
No, you go to the secret underground X-Strand station because it's one of the deepest in London.
I'm going to Hampstead Heath because it is the deepest station.
There you go.
The deepest.
Hampstead Heath is the deepest station.
Where's the secret one? That's on the Strand. What's it called?
He's talking sea level.
Aldwych.
Right, I'm going there. No,
I'm going Angel. Angel is something like 100-something meters.
Hampstead Station.
I'm following the
right
killer. I'm fine, bro.
Tongo.
Wiley will kill you, bro.
You know what? To add on to Rain's question.
He didn't even say no.
To add on to Rain's question, though.
Yeah.
You know, man will panic, innit? To add on to Rain's question. Though, my question is, you know, in the next half an hour, it's about to drop. Yeah. What are you going to do? And you can't survive it. What are you going to do?
You can't survive it.
You can't survive it. So you have half an hour to do one last thing on this planet.
What are you going to do?
No. One last thing. No. You have one last thing to do.
Right now.
More thing
while we're here right now.
on this planet, and that is all you can do. What are you going to do?
I've got a phone.
Wait. Hold on. What did you say?
No, you're not
driving to my son.
So you want not get in there
in half
an hour. I'll make it in half an hour, bro.
Half an hour.
I know where I am right now.
You will die.
Yeah, but
if there's
I
a
know
bomb
is.
announced,
everyone.
Yeah. All right, cool. You ain't making it home.
Yeah, he ain't making it home.
I never said home.
What did you say you wanted to do?
I said I pray my kids.
With your kids?
You ain't making it
Even
home.
if it's FaceTime. I never
Oh,
said
right,
I'm
okay,
gonna
fine.
be there.
Okay, cool. You're changing.
If I knew, no, I said I'll pray with my kids.
Yeah, okay.
If I couldn't make it there, that's what I'll do.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I think that's what I'd have to do.
Tongo?
Phoning loved ones.
Yeah.
When the network's down.
Well, the bomb hasn't dropped yet.
But everyone's now making.
Everyone's doing it, so the
You lot
network
not
goes down.
thinking, bro.
No,
That's how I know you lot are dying first.
yeah, true. Yeah, well, we're not in the
At
situation.
least you admit you're going to die first.
Moving swiftly on. Everyone's familiar with The Simpsons.
Yes.
So we're on season 38.
What?
Wow.
Marge-Simpson dies. They kill off Marge-Simpson.
No way.
No way.
Yeah, well,
Are you just
no way.
killing everyone?
No way.
Can't come back to life.
Marge-Simpson dies.
You're making everybody Google this now.
Google it now. It is an alternative future, but she does die. And what it is, she dies, or they kill her off.
Season 36 finale. Yeah.
Yeah, 36. Sorry, 36, not 38. Yeah, you're thinking I'm talking rubbish.
Yeah, you was wrong already.
I'm upset.
You got it wrong, though, innit?
Go on.
Yeah.
The creeper creeped up. That's what, so the whole point of it is that what it is, she, the family starts to drift apart. She dies as she drifts apart, and because she dies, it brings Lisa, Bart back together, and Homer and whatnot. I just thought it was just a little tidbit. Moving on, Stormzy received a doctorate. Did anyone know that?
Cambridge.
From Cambridge University.
But
more I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there because I've got something else. More importantly, he released a short film, a 20-minute short film, which was filmed on an iPhone only, apparently. Has anyone seen it?
No, I've heard about it.
Man. Maybe you don't need to watch it and then come back and we discuss it. It's quite a decent, deep film. But 20 minutes. I think it's free. He's put it out there. So again, people at home watching this, if you haven't, watch it. Come back to the MT podcast and tell us what your thoughts were on it. Right.
You would say drop bombs on Iran?
Well, no, I was going to go before that. Sorry. Iran versus
Israel.
Is everyone au fait with what's actually happened there?
Yeah.
Give the world a quick brain catch up.
Sorry, give us a little synopsis of what's happened.
Where do you start?
Quick one though.
Yeah, it's got to be very quick.
Yeah, I can't do a quick one because.
All right. What basically happened is Israel have said Iran have got the capability to make nuclear weapons, and because of that, they drop bombs on them, on their apparent nuclear facilities. Off the back of that, Iran lent some missiles over there and killed a few people. They retaliated. The United States apparently have what is called a bunker buster missile, They fired a few onto Iranian missile targets and apparently have obliterated the whole place.
Supposedly.
Them man, they came out and said, you man never licked our thing, but safe.
Supposedly.
Who is at fault in regards to this?
They said it was a ceasefire.
Who's accountable?
5 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
Iran said,
someone roll over, press a button,
start legging more things out.
Made America look stupid. Who is at fault? We're not going to get into we might have to in the future, but I think we've stayed away from the whole Gaza-Israel, but this one's a little bit different. Who is at fault in regards to this conflict which is going on now? From what I've described.
From my perspective, I say it's Israel. Because Israel have got nuclear weapons. They actually have got nuclear weapons. And if you're saying that someone else in your region shouldn't have them, and you now go and start bombing them, you can't expect you're going to bomb a man and they're not going to bomb you back.
But you know why Israel has nukes and they are supposedly not supposed to have them?
Yep.
So the reason being is that in Israel they have been elected. They're saying the leaders of Iran have not been elected. Therefore, you can't be trusted. So there are some countries. I'm not sure if it's the G8 or the G whatever it is 20 whatever it is, but they have nukes. They're allowed to have them because they've been gone through a democratic process, a voting process. Countries that have not can't have nukes apparently.
And
but
there's also the fact that if you have nukes, you have to make it public. You have to make it visible to the rest of the world and stuff like that,
and let it be inspected.
Inspected by the UN.
So where it gets interesting for me though is that where Israel are saying about elected leaders in Iran, I think Iran.
Yeah.
Iran had elected leaders, if I'm correct, and then the people took them out because they were doing corrupt things for the West
with the help of the US.
And this is where it's all very.
Which is why I couldn't give
all very techy.
I really think we should stay away from this. Get back to the topic at hand. But
cool.
there is one additional point. If let's say Iran does have these nuclear warheads and whatever else, and Israel found out, who are they to be the instigators of dropping bombs to say you shouldn't have these heads of bombs?
Remember, it wasn't done on its own.
Because as soon as initially it was.
The first strike was.
So as soon as you do that, then you put yourself as judge and jury.
Yeah.
And when you put yourself as judge and jury, what then happens is a meme going around, it's quite funny, that Israel have made a move and now America feel obliged to follow, which therefore means the UN are obliged to follow, which therefore means the UK are obliged to follow. Do you get what I mean? So now everyone's being dragged into
the conflict.
But that was the intention though, wasn't it?
I'll tell you what's interesting about it though, and what I found really strange. So America said they bombed Iran and obliterated the whole nuclear whatevers.
Yeah.
How come there's been no nuclear reaction?
No, because it's not at that stage. So you need when they say nuclear,
to go through a process.
Weapons grade plutonium, uranium.
That's
you need to have certain bits and bobs, chemical fusion, all that.
So you need to make the elements. And what they were saying basically is that they had the elements, the uranium, that they were storing and put into a level to get it done. It's not something that's done overnight with your science GCSE kit. You know, this is.
It's so vicious, bro.
No, seriously, bro.
Not at all.
This takes a lot of money and research, and there's only a few select people in the world that can even do it.
So here's the question, though: how do we know Iran hadn't got to that stage? We're taking the word of it's a whole broad convo, but the question becomes: how can we determine Iran had not got to that stage? Because we're taking it that there was this explosion, they've hit all these targets, but Iran are saying you never hit nothing. So whose word do we take? Because I think that's what Rain said earlier, isn't it? Whose word do we take for that? It becomes very, very convoluted.
Deep rabbit holes.
It's a long one.
Yeah.
Very.
I don't even know if we'll revisit it because I think it's very complex, and unless we all read up on it and are au fait with it, but we've got our little piece out there. Right. Big Zekes, Fresh Prince of Harlesden. So he put on an event on the weekend, giving back to the community, which was marred kind of by a little scuffle that happened. There's like a little altercation which got caught on camera because DJ AG was there doing a good thing. And there was a scuffle in the background. But what's happened is because it was live, it went viral. for the fact of the arms house. However, it detracted from so much of the good that he did. Now, I was trying to look through the numbers, so which I can't find now. But he gave away free meals, free clothes, as in to people that needed them in the community. He gave away trainers. He gave away sporting gear. No money, but just stuff that people needed. But none of that was covered. The only reason it was covered or brought up was the fact. Well, the only reason it was brought up because people saw that people were focusing on the violence. Now, I even saw people just arms house at AG's thing in Halsden, and people were saying, "Oh, what Halsden? You can't behave." Like, it's an isolated incident, and what that leads me into is they could have focused on something like Ascot. So Royal Ascot, nice, pristine event, apparently, but there's arms house in there. So by my stats, I'm going by last year because I haven't totaled up 2025 stats, but in 2024, there were 36 arrests due to violent conduct, drunken disorderly behavior, use of drugs. Now, they're saying, the powers that be are saying that is a minor, considering there's 250,000 people that are in attendance over the course of that period in time, which then leads me on to, what's the biggest event in London?
Carnival.
Notting Hill Carnival, where how many people attend?
2 million.
Over a million.
Over the weekend.
2 million. Last year, over the weekend, was 2 million people. There was, let me just double check this. So there was 349 arrests due to different things. And yes, there were two murders. So if you do the math, so 349 divided by 2 million times by 100 gives you about 0.01745% of incidents that happen at Carnival, which is very, very low. But there is still calls to ban Notting Hill Carnival now. Even to the point where, I don't know if you saw last week, there was this thing on lots of social media and on GM News. Is it GM News? Yeah. Where they were saying GB News, where they're saying you lot are struggling for funding, but they're trying to defile Carnival. What's your thoughts on that? Should Carnival be a thing which is gone because of the potential risk, considering you've got Ascot, you've got Glastonbury, which is kicking off today, is it, or tomorrow?
Yeah, I think it was yesterday. It might be yesterday. I think they opened the gates yesterday.
Should it be scaled down? Should it just be rolled with?
Well, I'll be honest with you. That statement there, especially between the probably four of us in here, it's a non-starter. No one's going to say it should be banned.
So then you're on the other side. So then give the case for the other side is the whole point.
Of why it shouldn't be banned.
Yeah.
I mean, your numbers was one thing alone. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not that type of situation when it goes to Carnival. And Carnival, again, is for us to enjoy and I suppose celebrate our culture. So it's a non-starter for the people in this room. I went to Ascot, funny enough. Ascot was a great event and we fully enjoyed ourselves down there. It's not what it used to be or what it was or it's perceived to be in certain lights.
What do you mean?
In the sense of it's more for the rich white folk, I suppose.
That's what it's for?
No, that's what it was perceived to be
right,
for.
Sorry, okay.
Horse racing and whatever else not. It's changed a bit. There is obviously horse racing down there, which is really nice and really enjoyable. And it's about dressing up and it's about, obviously they've got music down there and culturally it's changed. Do you know what I mean? It's now more diversified and a lot of everybody's going down there.
Right, so yeah. What's your thoughts?
I totally disagree. I think you may perceive it to have been changed and whatnot. And it's like Carnival. And I like the fact that you brought Carnival. All of us here could go to Carnival and we can all come back to the next podcast and explain our experiences, and it can be totally different. Rain could have gone to a stage, listened to Bashment for the whole 2 days. Tongo could have got run over by a truck because you could have got lost and didn't see none of it. Citrus could have got drunk. What I'm saying is, the event
will get drunk.
Just saying.
On the creeper.
Yeah. On the gully.
Sorry, why am I gonna be injured and everyone's too happy?
You're the slowest. You're the brother.
I mean,
anyway,
come on. We're gonna go to Citrus. Then Wiley
probably would be.
Go on.
So, for me, when I look at it, I'm like, well, the event. When you're talking about it, the fact that you said there was horse racing kind of proves my point because it was like, oh yeah, we had a great time, we had a party and whatnot, and there was horse racing. The event is a horse racing event. That is the main focus why people go there. They go there to bet on horses. The queen has a horse running there. Sorry, the king has a horse running there. People of that ilk and that environment have their horses running. That's what they go there to do. You come in to party in the corner over there or do whatever you're doing is not the main event.
Have you been?
No, I haven't been.
Well, the point is, it's changed. I actually said that.
So there's no horses running?
No, I never said that horses weren't running.
So you don't
but there are different enclosures, all right, that do parties. Most of the other enclosures, I go to one side, all right, man, I'm on this side of the room, all right. I've actually been to the Windsor enclosure. There are other enclosures, all right, they're actually doing parties and enjoying themselves as well. It's an event, and it's an event with music.
Ascot? What is Ascot?
It's a horse racing event.
Okay.
So it's a horse racing event. But I mean,
that's all I need to know.
You go to a horse racing event and they've got music and they've got alcohol. Do you know what I mean? Does it mean it's a drinks event? Or does it mean it's got drinks, it's got alcohol, it's got raving, it's got music, it's got people that dress up and it's an occasion. And it's something that's nice to go to. So when me sitting there saying to myself, oh yeah, that how it's not diversified, it's diversified, it's changed. Do you know, it's changed from what you sit there and stand and say it was about to where it is now.
Citrus, 10 seconds if you can, or 20 seconds.
I would say that this is life. We got to learn how to deal with it. Done.
I just think it's interesting because last year when we was talking about Carnival, there was a lot of kickback about how Carnival had changed and about how Carnival had taken in dancehall and Afro beats and so on and so forth. So it's just interesting hearing. It sort of sounds like we want to be able to say we can diversify some things, but not our own things. That's how it's sounding. And I don't think that's really, I agree with you. Change is inevitable, but it's sounding like we can diversify something else, but don't diversify our things.
I don't agree because Carnival's been diversified for how long ago?
Mm-hmm.
Before all these other places were diversified.
But
the first thing didn't diversified, to be fair, it was our thing from the very beginning. So to say that we don't want other things diversifying, other people, environments, whatever, diversifying our thing, when we've been at the forefront of that, I don't agree.
I'm just final point. I'm just going on for the point of what we said in the podcast last year on Carnival. There was kickback about Carnival being not soca, and not only soca. There was issue about having dancehall. There was issue about having Afro beats there. So it's just for me, it's just an interesting take on the whole on diversified things. It's interesting.
Find a clip.
Yeah, so you can go back and look at it and see the point.
Indeed.
And Citrus is right. Carnival, not predominantly. The rules of Carnival is that you're not supposed to play any other type of music on the road apart from soca music.
On the road.
On the road. The little ghetto stools and Rain's Corner is
what? That's not a part of Caribbean. It's near the time. Bro, come on, bro. This is going to be the last one, then we're going to the main topic. So, Beyonce had her concert that in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Big up
finished. Chris Brown then took on a few days, but Chris Brown, in what he was doing, was basically lip-sync gal on stage.
He lips one. It was one gal.
Lip-sync gal on stage. Did I say anything false? If Beyonce did what Chris Brown was doing, would there be uproar? And is what Chris Brown is doing right, considering his past with domestic abuse?
Jeez.
Tongo.
I didn't know about the Chris Brown thing.
The concert.
I knew about the concert, but I didn't know about the activity that you're mentioning.
Well,
the lips under a rock.
Right. However, from what I understand, Chris Brown is single, whereas Beyonce is married. So Beyonce doing that, she's married. So no, she shouldn't do that. Chris Brown doing that, he's single.
You really haven't seen it.
Let me finish. If the people is doing it too, with whatever consent to him doing that, then there's not a problem. If he's done it forcefully, or
well, he's not going to do it on the stage.
But that's what I'm saying. If he's done it forcefully, then obviously it's wrong. But if it's with consent.
When did he get a chance to ask if it was consent?
I don't know where we went there. You say that, but when Spice did her thing at City Splash, she asked all the participants for their consent. So you can't say when did they have time to consent.
Yeah, you need to see the video, bro.
I need the video.
She kissed him.
Or welcome to the MT podcast.
Wait, no, you can't do that. In regards to what you were going to say in regards to Janet Jackson, that was a paid person. That was I believe it was a dancer. So it wasn't just a random person from the
Well,
the
they've been
crowd.
doing this for a minute now, innit?
I get it.
I'm just going around giving everybody cherries, bro.
Yeah, but that's just
you know what I mean?
that's just licking a cherry. He was on there whining, gyrating, and then lip sync.
Room's on the chair. He goes up to her. There.
And then she pulls his head in and goes for the kiss, bro. She
All right.
wanted that.
That leads us nicely on to our topic
go
for
on.
today, which is accountability. So, with that being said, and Buddy being so flavorful when it comes to the actual, you're saying, in that incident, who's accountable for what's going on right there?
She's accountable.
Why
They're
do-
both
why- why
accountable.
is she
They're
accountable?
adults, bro. He's there, he's gyrating, he's doing his thing, he's performing. She's now pulling his head in. They're both accountable. They're adults, bro. So in that situation where you're sitting there saying to me, who's accountable? She wanted the kiss and he's turning and allowed it to happen because he could have turned and said, yo, I'm not allowed to do that and pulled away. But he didn't. He obviously enjoyed it. She enjoyed it. He can and she can. They're both consenting adults.
So you don't see anything wrong with somebody in a place of influence or power, as Chris Brown, being a super megastar, taking advantage of somebody who's in a position who might think to themselves, this is the only time or the only opportunity that I'm going to get this close to somebody in this limelight.
Okay, she's gone on stage. He's brought her up as a security or whoever's put her on stage. She's now on stage with him. He's dancing with her.
So you think when she went on stage, she had that this is going to happen in her mind?
She had it in her head that that's what she wanted to do, so she's done it. Do you know what I mean? There's so many instances where people have put people on stages recently where they're doing all this whole gyrating on them, they're dancing with them, they're kissing them, they're rubbing on them. It is what it is. You've gone on stage. If I'm in a relationship, I go pick myself up and go on stage with one of these dancers, I'm expecting something wild to happen. So I already know this is going to happen. So I know to myself, don't put myself in that position. I'm better off saying to myself, you know what, I'm okay for this one. Let Citrus take this one.
So you're accountable then?
I'm accountable because I know to myself, well, I'll go on the same stage. You know what's going to happen.
So ultimately, you're more accountable than the artist because the artist is going to call whoever. You're accountable if you're going on stage.
I'm accountable to say my position. Now, at that point, he never forced himself and went to kiss her. She pulled him for the kiss. So at the end of the day, he's not sitting there saying he's going to do his dance routine. So
but by your words,
1 second.
she went up.
He's going to do his dance routine. So as far as the kiss is concerned, he never went and said, oh yeah, I'm going to kiss you. She pulled him in for the kiss. He turned and he was accepting of it and said, yeah, cool, I'm going to do it. They're both adults. It's cool, innit? He done his thing. You can't now turn and say, well, who's at fault? None of them are at fault. They're both adults. Do you know what I mean? They're both accountable for that.
Yeah, I think.
Or you think he used his power?
Of course, you have to remember, I don't know how old she was, and I don't want to speculate, but let's say she's younger than him. She's been seeing this person on TV. She's been listening to his songs or his music for years and generation. She's now got to this point where he said to you, come up on stage. There are a very small percentage of people that will give up that opportunity to meet their idol. Because I know if I went to Michael Jackson's show and he called me up on stage. Why for that?
I click that up, it's all right.
Why for that?
Michael Jackson, P. Diddy, and RuPaul called.
You have to imagine if you get to meet an idol that you
I'm okay.
have been, you've grown up listening to his music all your life or not.
My bad.
You're doing well. You're doing well. Nah. You see, now these are your insecurities.
No, it's not. No.
If I saw you turn up the opportunity you would turn down the
mic.
Not to dance with Mike. I said to meet Mike.
What did you say? To me?
I said to meet Mike.
I ain't gonna. I don't know.
So what?
You're better off saying if Beyonce was having something and she's like,
I'm fully aware if I put myself in certain positions.
Right.
And if Mike, Diddy, and RuPaul ask me to come up on the stage, I already know I'm okay.
What is Michael Jackson going to call you on stage to do? What song? What song are you going up there? What song are you going up there?
I don't know.
What song? What? No. You're mine. Loud me.
What's the one he did with us? I like that. That's actually good. Well done. What's the one that he did with all the kids around him and the wind was blowing and all that?
Heal the world.
All I'm saying is, if you're in a position where you can get to meet your idol that you grew up knowing or looking up to, it's very few people that are going to turn that opportunity down.
I think it's different though. If you're talking about a female artist for men,
okay, let's say I use Michael Jackson as he being one of, if not the biggest pop star out there, or dead pop star. But at the time when he was alive, obviously, there was no one else that was at his level that if you put on stage and.
Well, I'll help you out a little bit. If you even made it to be a female, again, I wouldn't do it. So whatever female and want to use Beyonce, great. All right, I'm not gonna go up there and do it.
Why are you not gonna go?
Because if I'm I'm putting myself in a position. If I'm single and I'm not, I mean, then and I want to go up there, then 100%. I'm already up there. I don't even know why this question's even being asked.
So what if your partner said, "I know you're going to the girl pick up concert tomorrow. If she calls you up, you should go." Then what?
You should go. Huh?
Imagine she said that.
Well, she's not an idiot. like, I don't understand. Why are we going to say, yeah, you should go? Well, when Chris Brown is going to call you up there, you should go, babe. You freaking stupid. Get your ass down here. Stand at the back. You ain't got nowhere near it. Like, why am I going to put you on stage with Chris Brown ready to gyrate on you? And then potentially it's your idol, you know, you're going to be sitting there in his face and he's there going, baby. And then I'm going to be like, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I'm not stupid, bro.
So one of the comments we're getting online from Debbie Deb says, I'm sorry, but if you decide to go on stage knowing the routine, then that's on you. Nobody forced you to go up there.
100%.
Knowing the routine.
Yeah. But anyway, back to accountability.
So, to us, what does accountability mean to us? What does it mean to you, Citrus?
Accountability to me is if an action takes place that you are in charge of, is taking responsibility for said action.
Example.
The man brought out a penalty notice.
If you get a PCN,
I got one.
What's a PCN, sir?
You know what a PCN.
I don't know what a PCN is. You're using abbreviations.
Penalty charge notice.
Okay.
I was going to say something bad, but I was like, no, we might get banned.
All right. So if you get a PCN, like that one, like Sirelli got, if you get a PCN and it's your responsibility for parking the vehicle, then you should be held accountable for incorrectly parking your vehicle and therefore pay the surcharge fee of whatever the PCN costs.
But it wasn't my fault though. When I parked it there, I wasn't planning to get
So this is the point where you're not being accountable because I've turned around and said, if you did an action and then this is the result of your action, then you should be held accountable for said action.
Rain is in total.
No, because you have to separate it. You've got responsibilities and accountabilities. At the moment you park the vehicle, you were responsible. As you park the vehicle, you violated something. Whether it be you've not paid the what's it called, the meter for a long enough time. You've parked in a disabled bay or whatever.
Parked you were incorrectly.
Yeah, there you go. You were responsible. You tried to take a chance. So now you must be accountable for what comes out the other end, which is the fine.
Are you accountable?
Holds me for that as well.
Are you accountable if the rule changes though? So for example, I've seen it happen where someone's parked in a space and then the people have come afterwards and actually changed the sign while they were there. After they give them a ticket.
That's a dumb thing.
But I've seen it happen though.
Okay, but that I don't think
we go. What's the thing? POPLA. I go right to there.
So I don't agree with that. Yeah. So you asked me for my definition. This is my definition. After your action, the responsibility is yours, and by taking charge of the responsibility is your accountability.
Right. So for you, there's a clear difference between responsibility, which is something that you have done and you've now got to take control of this, and accountability being...
No, there is yeah. Well, basically, if you are in charge of said action, you are responsible, and being responsible, whatever happens within that action, you should take accountability for that.
So
just to simplify, if you decided to yourself, I'm going to eat this weed cake, and I don't know...
Why did you point over there? We ain't got none over there.
No, I'm going to eat this weed cake. I don't know what it's made of. I don't know what's in it. I don't know how much weed, if it's 1%, 20%, 100%. and I'm going to eat all of it.
Mad.
You're an
And
idiot.
then all of a sudden I have a bad reaction. Fair enough, you can potentially ask the person who gave you the cake, but you put it in your mouth.
You bought the cake.
You're accountable.
So are you're
swallowed it.
accountable or you're responsible for your...
Are responsible, therefore you should take accountability.
So if you're responsible, that means you're accountable as well. But if you're accountable, it doesn't necessarily mean you're responsible.
I'll give you the definition. The fact or condition of being accountable is responsibility. So lack of accountability has corroded public respect for business and political leaders. So accountability is directly linked to responsibility.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Is there a difference to you of personal accountability and external accountability?
I need a definition of external accountability.
So, as we said a while ago, parking ticket. I got the parking ticket. I didn't go out to get you the parking ticket. It happened while it was on my watch. Now, yes, maybe I should have been more vigilant and I should have, but I didn't actively go out and write a parking ticket. I parked up, I looked at it and I was like, look, I'm just going to go to the shop to grab a drink for us to come to have a drink for us here. Buddy called me and said, can you pick up a drink?
That statement?
Yeah, what part?
Brother, that's the point.
What part of the statement did he just say?
Yeah, I parked up.
Yeah.
Line there.
I was at the beginning. It was his fault.
That line there.
I was driving the car.
As soon as you said I did something, that's
so
I taking guilt.
So the external accountability definition would be, it refers to the obligation to report, explain, or justify actions to someone outside of one's self.
So, to give an example, if I was to say, ask one of you lot to buy me a ticket for an event.
Yep.
And you bought the ticket. I, however, went to the event, got in for free. I said to you, still bring my ticket for me because I'm going to give it to somebody else.
Ross.
My thing.
Okay, let's go.
And you turn up. I'm in the event. You don't call me. You don't give me the ticket. I then see you an hour before the event is due to end. That's an external accountability. I'm looking at you like, I want my ticket, or better still, I don't want my ticket, I want my money, because you were given a responsibility to get the ticket for me, which you haven't provided.
He's asking the question to you, Rayman.
To you. The way you're dancing your head. It's to you. It's to you. It's to you.
Okay, so what's your question? Sorry, because
If someone...
Make it very clear. I buy a ticket for an event.
Yep.
Sirelli meets me at the event.
Yep, waiting for his ticket.
No, I buy the tickets.
Yes.
Yep.
For the event.
Yep.
Sirelli meets me at the event.
Yep.
An hour before the end.
Yeah.
But was waiting for the whole day for the ticket. I give him the ticket an hour before the end.
He's already in the dance.
Yeah, you don't give him the ticket.
Oh, he don't get the ticket.
Yeah, he's already in the
But
dance.
therefore, I'm saying it's not my fault you never got the ticket. You still need to pay me the money for said ticket. But it shouldn't matter because you're in the event anyway.
And you got it for free.
But he was given it, he might have given the ticket to somebody else.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, if you've asked me to do something and I've done it, you need to account for what I've done. Because you asked me to do it. If you asked me to go and get the ticket or to pay for
and
it
meet
or
me
whatever,
at 1 o'clock in the afternoon,
and I've done that, then you've got to account for it.
Up till 5.
But was the arrangement to meet at 1?
Yeah.
No,
until the change that you got in for free anyway.
The bottom line is, am I at fault for not meeting you at 1? If I was there at 1, if I was there at 1,
you wasn't there at 1.
I wasn't there at 1.
No.
Then I can't now claim and say I want to get the money for the tickets.
Yes.
No, you were there. You were there. Sorry.
If I was there over the
it's reverse. So you were there.
You were there waiting at 1 o'clock for the ticket. I was in the dance.
No,
I was waiting at 1 o'clock to give you the money to the ticket and collect my money. If that's the case, then I need my money.
All right.
Because I was on
You
time.
would have lost.
Yes. Yes.
I'm not even getting involved
No,
in
I
this
think Wiley's lost.
No,
all right, let me make it simple.
Could someone just simplify it?
I'm the person who has got the tickets. Yes. Yeah.
You got it the day before?
Yeah. Forget about the day before. We've got an arrangement for meeting at 1 o'clock.
You meet me at.
you're saying
you're meeting. You said on WhatsApp, I'm going to meet you there at 1 o'clock.
Yes.
I go there at 1 o'clock with your ticket and you don't turn up.
I'm in the dance.
I want my money.
Yeah.
No, you don't turn up till 5 o'clock.
With your ticket.
Yeah. This is a new example.
This is
No, you're turning up at 5 o'clock with the ticket. I'm already inside. So let's simplify it.
If I've turned up
you
late,
bought the ticket.
If I've turned up
Rain's inside the dance, shocking at Gunfinger.
And we arranged to meet at 1 o'clock.
You and him arranged to meet at 1 o'clock.
I didn't meet him because I'm in the dance. I got him for free.
You got him for free.
Yeah.
But he was supposed to meet you at 1 o'clock.
And he was there to meet me at 1 o'clock.
No,
he wasn't.
He turned up at 5.
No,
But
five.
Then I can't pay no money, mate. I can't pay no money because I was late. Responsibility falls onto whoever was late. If I was late, my money's gone. Simple.
But as far as but the other person got it for free though.
Yeah, this is.
If I was late, the money is gone. Simple.
Move on.
That's it.
Yeah. Let's move on.
That's it.
Do you know what that's called? Cognitive dissonance. Yeah, it is. Look it up and see. Let's educate people on these terminologies. So
cognitive dissonance.
You can dash away.
None of them can say the word.
So accountability comes in various forms. It comes in a form of you and what your standards are for yourself. Would you like to give us a little thing on? Because I see you nodding enough with the...
Cognitive dissonance is a discomfort a person feels when their behavior does not align with their values and beliefs.
Thank you very much. So you can have that feeling towards somebody else. You can have it in a way that you hold yourself to a standard. You hold yourself to beliefs. And then when someone else doesn't live up to those standards and those beliefs, you have that feeling that comes in. Now, my question is, can you truly feel accountability if you don't have a moral compass, if you don't have that kind of decadence, if you don't hold yourself to a standard? Can you feel accountability? Because you yourself, you're on a very much kind of living the whatever, you're a willy-nilly kind of person. Can you have accountability? So your kid's late you're late to pick up your kid. It's all right, man. I was only 10 minutes late, innit? No big thing. What happened to you? You was playing football with your friends for another 10 minutes? Oh, no, nothing.
The world don't work like that because accountability isn't what your level of accountability is. It's the level that you have to hold everything to the standard of. So in that example, you can't apply the fact that, time means nothing to me, to the world, to your child, because your child is in the wider world and time means something to everybody. So you can't apply a standard of I don't care about time and lateness and whatever to everything else because everyone else has to apply to that.
I mean, it comes down to what you are willing to accept for your own personal standard.
But can you hold somebody else to that standard?
So there are points that if you're going to hold yourself to a high standard and you hold other people to that standard, if it's not societal standard, then
it's not fair.
It's unfair.
Yeah.
And I think we need to give space for that. Things like, for example, and I don't want to make this racial, but in certain cultures, children swear at their mum. Mum, can you get me an effing fork because I want to eat my fish and chips?
In our culture,
and I ain't got one.
They ain't happening.
Now, imagine any of us just sitting in front of our mum and asking her to get us an effing fork.
We'd have Tongo face.
Do you get what I mean? Because it's just not something that we're...
Is it culturally or just generational? Because now there are a lot of...
Well, what happens, it was cultural, but now it's starting to merge.
But so you're saying it's generational?
It's merging.
There are.
Would any of your kids say that to you?
No. But you are all old parents.
Huh?
You are old parents.
We're not young things.
You're not young things. There are 25-year-olds with 8-year-olds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we potentially could be the parents of those same 25-year-olds. If you speak to 25-year-olds today, you will understand your cultural stance and their cultural stance is different. Now they're raising their own.
And they're effing at someone.
And we can't expect our standard to be their standard, especially not the child's standard. However, what's crazy is that 25-year-old with a 7 or 8-year-old fits in a similar criteria that some of us that have 8-year-olds.
We went through the same timeline.
So when our children, whose parents are 20 years difference in age, meet in the playground, their standard and your child's standard doesn't necessarily match.
This might, yeah. I'll give you an example of that. Just because I took my son to Turin to play football. So he's with his whole team. So you meet parents and we have to go out.
Can we get a range of age?
So as in what, the kids?
Yeah.
So the kids are all they're under 11, so they'll be 10, and they at the time
9, 10, 11, or
just 9 and 10.
9 and 10,
just 9 and 10, and then so we're walking down this road. So it's quite a few parents, and we're going on like a sightseeing thing, but we're all walking. One of the kids says, "So we're turning left." Sorry, he says, "I'm not going left. I'm going this way, Mum."
It's like battling.
Immediately, I look at my son. So my son's looking at me, and he knows we're going left. But this boy decided that he's going that way. But the issue is that there is a factor which I think is at play here. But the parents are roughly the same age as me.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the excuse for that then?
No, because you also have to remember that there are societal changes. There are cultural changes. You also have to appreciate
social changes as well.
The position that we were raised in, and the position the 40-plus-year-old counterpart was raised in, are not the same.
Not the same.
Do you know what I mean? Like now, I've said this on the podcast before. My son, he's 7, feels no way to open a fridge and take a drink out.
Mad.
Close the drink. Close the fridge, make his own drink, spill half of it on the side, fine, put it back in the fridge, because I'm thirsty.
And look at you while he's walking past.
And don't screw the top.
That's anything.
That's must.
Now, I look at that and think, wow. Whereas this is something in the other side of the family, which is more acceptable. In my side of the family, it's unheard of. Walking up to the fridge and getting that, what drink? What did you buy? You know when
fizzy drink as well?
No, they don't do that. But,
right, okay.
but fruit juice. So
yes,
price range. You get what I mean? So all of a sudden, we're already all over the place. So when you try to mar one against the other, we are already at odds and ends. Right. Do you get what I mean? So with the examples that we're trying to give, to use our position as the older generation versus a younger generation, but all have children in the same, I suppose, educational age bracket school system, then the differences throw up. Which, if you've been watching the podcast from the beginning, is where my argument from dad and daddy comes into play.
So who do you hold accountable then? Do you say that it's society and societal influences that have affected this behaviour? Or do you say the parents are accountable? Who's accountable for this behavioural shift and change?
So I think everyone needs to respond, but go on.
There's one thing I think, Wally, you're probably not even hearing. You're sitting here and saying that there's some form of accountability that has to be identified. But that's to us. In the situation that Citrus is talking about there, nobody's seeing normal.
That.
Yeah. That accountability doesn't exist.
There's no problem.
But ultimately, there has to be an accountability, because for that problem not to exist, for it to be a norm, somewhere it's become a norm.
No,
somewhere it has become a norm.
You're being unfair. And it's something similar to what he said earlier on was the levels. There's your standard, there's the norm standard, and there's below that standard.
Yeah.
All right?
By individual judgment.
Yeah, but by his standard or the household standard, that is the norm. So if it's the norm, he's actually doing nothing wrong. So for you to make that statement, even in other people's households, not like Citrus has made his point, all right, but I'm not saying it is, but my household, I might be like, what are you talking about? I mean, he went to the fridge to get a drink because he's thirsty.
I have to ask him if he's showing independence.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Why shouldn't he get a drink?
Yeah, your whole argument is flawed. So there's people going to be watching the podcast after saying, "This is what are you talking about?"
But here's the thing, though: accountability hasn't got to be negative. So we're looking at it like accountability means that if the child is doing that, it's something wrong. But what I'm saying is the behavior has been learned from somewhere. Someone has been accountable for that behavior. Whether we want to look at it as positive, negative, or indifferent, it's been learned behavior, innit? That's what I'm saying. It's
who's accountable for him to learn that? Who's accountable
for him to learn that? Because it's learned from somewhere, innit?
He's learned that's his household.
Sorry, but I'll let you finish. I'll go after.
He's learned that that's his household. So I don't make him accountable for anything. If anything, you're going to say his parents are accountable, or his mum would be a parent, would be accountable for it. No, well, and that's just your situation that you're saying would be his mum. all right, will be accountable for it because that's how she raises her. That's how she wants the household to be.
Only if it's a problem.
Yeah,
which is the point why.
But it's not. But it's not a problem. It's not a problem in her household. So it's a good thing. He gets up now. He no longer. So I'll give you a quick example. Is my son would get up and make breakfast for himself. All right, I don't have to necessarily get up and go and make breakfast for him anymore because he's old enough, or he got to a point where he's old enough, and I said, all right, you can do it yourself, and he's done it himself. Now, some people's household we say, 1 second, you don't get up in the morning and sit down and have breakfast with your child.
Making breakfast.
Have breakfast with him.
Well, in some people's household, that's the thing. You get up in the morning.
No,
the funny thing is, that's me.
There you go.
I grew up. I never had breakfast with my parents.
Yeah.
You have breakfast every.
I never had breakfast with my parents at all when I was growing up.
No, so
there you go.
That could be me eating an apple, a pear, but it's just that moment where you're having breakfast because I want my son to grow up with the habit of having breakfast because 90% of us here don't have breakfast in the morning.
Well, so I come from a different standpoint. I'm teaching my son that this is not beyond you. You need to be able to do it. So you're 11. You need to be able to get up. Whatever it. My son was pouring his own cereal from 2 years old at nursery. They taught him that at nursery. Fend for yourself.
Don't touch my milk at 2.
In regards to like when he got to 11, it was the issue was obviously you can't cut stuff, so you can't cut a bagel in half. He likes bagels, so you buy sliced bagels. But you have got a responsibility. You have to get yourself ready for school. You need to feed yourself, and that would be bagel, fruit, hot drink, potentially orange juice or water, and then you're ready to do what you need to do. Yeah.
So you're making the accountability his responsibility.
I am making him responsible. I'm overly accountable for making sure he eats something, but I'm responsible.
You're accountable for him to be responsible.
Effectively.
Yeah. No, that's effectively what it is. You're accountable for him having the responsibility to be responsible.
It's a life lesson
for himself.
I'm teaching him a life lesson, which he probably doesn't understand. He just thinks, I can make my own breakfast. Great. Like he's going to school by himself now. So I'm accountable.
Sorry, at what age?
He's 11.
And how far is the school?
Well, I wouldn't say far. It's probably about 2.5 miles, roughly. So he's got to get on a bus. He could walk there, but it'll take ages. But he needs to be able to traverse that.
So right now is a live example of what we spoke about earlier. So you're saying
11.
What do you mean he's having breakfast with his parents? And you're saying, what do you mean he doesn't have breakfast
with his parents?
So straight away, if both of your children came to my house and were staying at uncle's house, let's go get breakfast. Your son went and put the bread in the toaster and he's munching.
No.
Wait, just wait.
And his son's sitting there going...
And his son's sitting there like...
That's different.
Uncle's... I'm waiting for uncle to have breakfast. Now, I'm not saying your son's wrong or your son's wrong. I'm just saying the standard is different. Now, if you then use the standard across life... Tongo. If you use the standard across life, it's very hard to say what you've done is right and what you've done is wrong. Do you get what I mean? It's just these are different standards. However, there comes a point where in society, the standard gets blurred and we then don't understand. And what's happened in the last 25, 30 years in London, what I can say with confidence, is there are things that you could do 25 years ago, and if you did it now, you're named, shamed, discredited, and shelved. Do you get what I'm saying? However, the other side of the coin is if you don't do it, it's like, what kind of person are you? Do you get what I mean?
So how do you then gauge or judge accountability? Because accountability in most cases is a negative thing. Something bad has happened and you're not...
No, that's incorrect. Because
in most incidents...
No. Because if, for example, we've got a podcast on today that's on 3 different platforms. It's going to be 5 different platforms and whatever else. How did we get there? The 6 of us pulled together and put some together. One had the idea, one had the execution, one had the growth, one had the vision. Do you get what I'm saying? We all pulled it together and we got to this point. Are we where we want to be? Not necessarily. But are we getting there? Cool. Who's going to take credit for that? Because credit and accountability sit in the similar... They sit in a similar frame. At the moment, if we're all going to be honest, Wiley's charging with the eMpTy podcast. And I'll happily turn around and say it to camera that Wiley's been charging with the podcast. So I'd say, you know what? Respect to Wiley. But, and he will say, for what's happened over the last 6 months, for example, I'm accountable. However, if we said, how did it get off the ground? How did it get our first recordings and blah, blah, Buddy might say, I'm accountable. If I turn around and said, oh, how did it get onto Instagram, blah, blah, CJ's accountable. So there are different...
Everyone charged at different times.
Yeah, people charging different times. So the accountability part almost could be recognition, and depending on how you observe it, depending on how it's received. The difference is, when we talk about accountability, people then always normally associate with something negative. Do you know what I mean? And then if it's seen as negative, the accountability is like that hot potato, or what they call a bag of shit, where they say, do you know what, I don't want to hold this. Let me just pass it over to you because I don't want to be held accountable. So if you ask me something in a professional environment and it says, do you think I should do this and this? I'll be like, yo, big man, you make the choice and tell me what you want to do. So therefore, if it goes wrong, this is you problem.
So tell me something.
Problem.
Rain, why do you think people are so scared to handle accountability?
I personally don't think,
because as Citra said, if you are in a situation where there is some form of, I don't want to say responsibility, but accountability for something, you'll find that very few people want to put their hands up and stand up and be counted. And
some people just don't want to be leaders. And I think in society, we need to understand that some people do not want to be the face of something. Therefore, they don't want to be the fall guy, the face. And then there's the other side of people that love it.
It's not just that, though. And funny enough, it worked. In my brain, when Citrus said it, it went straight to work. And I thought to myself, and I'll use this to Citrus, and some people will probably understand. You got a TV for a customer, all right? The TV's coming into the van. And you're thinking to yourself, where do we put it? Well, like, where are we going to put it?
Sorry, give a bit more content.
So basically, you're moving the TV for a customer.
You're moving a 50-inch glass
TV.
And you're thinking, there's no box. The TV's not wrapped.
It's not wrapped.
The customer says, take my TV, bring it to my new home.
So now
you're looking at this TV on the back of your van. It's not in the van. It's on the back of the van. You now have to transport it safely to their new home.
Where do you want to put it? Now, if you're talking to your porter, your other guy that's working with you, all right, you're thinking to yourself, if he makes the call and says, we're going to put it in the middle, face down, all right, in like, this is a decision that you're making. Because if you're making that decision, it's cool, but you're making that decision. Because at that point, if I turn and say, that's a good idea to put it there, let's put it there, or we make a decision together, then we're taking accountability, or I'm taking accountability for it.
We are?
But overall, you are accountable.
Yeah, we are accountable. No, you are accountable. But the moment you've made this decision of saying, this is the way you're going to do it, take it away from being my business for a second, all right? And saying it's just two workers working rather than being like,
So ultimately, what it would come down to is a hierarchical system, innit? Whoever has got the decision-making ability...
None of them do.
Somebody has to.
No. I've got two workers that are working.
There's a driver
and there's a porter. They can make the decision. The porter's been working for me for 15 years. The driver has been working for me for 5 years. All right. Now it's like, well, who's one second. Where's the hierarchy?
So my question
to you, who the customer give the money to?
No.
I don't understand what you're talking about.
No, one second. The customer is giving the money to the business,
right?
And the business is now responsible, but the accountability falls onto whoever is doing the business. Now, ultimately, as a customer, I don't see these two people.
No,
I see you.
You're the business.
All right.
You're held accountable.
So for me now, as a company, all right. I've left my
two people
in charge. Now, if they're now going to tell us, say, let's put the TV face down, all right, and drive off. If they're 50 inch, and then they go over a bump, and then it smashes. I'm like, who made the call to put the TV face down? And I've told you, do not put TVs face down. You've now come up with the brainstorm. No, we're going to put it face down because it makes more sense. All right. Which one of you two made the call?
Now, here's the thing.
Still your responsibility.
Here's the accountability. Yeah, the accountability would fall on both of them in that circumstance. But if you're saying one is saying put it one way, one is saying put it the other way, you would have to have had. I'm sure you've got some sort of a structural thing that says if something's happening, here's what you do.
And Rain will say, you should have given them training.
One second. Because when you're saying that, you're right. The accountability from the customer comes to my company.
Yes.
So it's me that has to deal with it, which always happens.
Yes.
So if there's someone to pay for it, and Citrus will say, we will pay for it. Here you go. Here's your money.
Yep.
Now we have in-house problems. And the in-house problems is, which one of you turned and said, all right, let's put the TV face down? Because now
what should
I need to
happen
know
is a formal investigation,
Right.
and you deal with things properly. You just swore, so that puts you out there.
I didn't swear. I agree with you, but I didn't swear.
So
Go ahead.
in that situation, and I think we need to move it away from our business, but there should be a process and a protocol.
Handbook.
So
And training.
if someone gives me a 50-inch TV, I will say without sufficient packaging and the box, I cannot safely transport your TV. If they then said, just put it in the van anyway, I'll say to them, I'm going to wrap it in these blankets or bubble wrap or whatever it is that we've got available. I'm going to place it here. However, I cannot guarantee that it's going to arrive in the condition that it's left because it's not in its packaging, which the manufacturer has stated to transfer this TV, it should be in its original packaging. So at this point, what would you like me to do, Mr. or Mrs. Customer? And then they say, put it in the van anyway. At that point, I'll be like, put it in the van anyway. No problem. Because I've now taken the responsibility and passed it over to the customer. If something goes wrong, you are accountable. However, in a normal workplace, let's just take it away from that. A customer comes into a fast food restaurant and says, there's hair in my food. It's a blonde hair. No one that works in our establishment's blonde. But there's a blonde hair in this food. Now, at this point, you're looking at the customer who's got blonde hair. You're thinking to yourself, this can't be none of my people. Because you know, no one here has blonde hair. You get it? There's two trails
of us ain't got hair.
Why? Why citrus? I don't know who messed this up. But so restaurants in this position will say, let's take this plate back and we'll just replace it. They know it weren't us. They know it could have been you. But we're going to replace this free of charge, which means you're still going to get your meal. However, it's not going to have this blonde hair in it.
A goodwill gesture.
Because as a gesture of goodwill, this is what we're going to do.
Try that in Brown Eagle.
I've never been there. However, at this point, you meet a juncture. Now, if the customer has eaten half the food and then says, I don't want another meal, take this off my bill. Now, you've entered into a completely new arena. Because do you accept that you are at fault for hair in the food? But if you know the hair ain't of any of your staff and looks like the hair on your client's head, then who takes accountability at this point?
You still, as if it's a restaurant, they still take the ownership for it. And it's funny because it's just a protocol that they would have to
if you're
take.
within the establishment still.
Yeah, they'll just have to follow it. Because you know what you said, like you said, in this room, nobody's got blonde hair. However, all right, I'm like, Wiley's got a beard. Oh, you work in a removal company, so you could have now gone to somebody's house and you've got things on your clothes, and then all of a sudden it's now got into the food somehow. So there are other ways that it could have got in there. So you saying, oh well, you're bald. Technically, it's none of you lot, but there are ways. You know what I mean? I've gone home before and gone, wow, whose piece of hair is that? And I'm like, where did I get that from? So that statement would still say to me that you would still, as a company, take on the responsibility and say, you know what, it's fine. We'll take it off your bill and you move on. And that's as simple as. And then you know what, he's a manager at where he's manager at, so you can probably
the expert in the field.
Yeah,
blonde hair in the food. No one in the establishment is blonde.
What are you saying?
What happens?
Return.
With that in my field is in hospitality. You ain't got time to argue. You're just replacing it.
There you go.
Just replace it.
Yeah, have to.
You know what?
Leader, right?
Well, the amount that it costs for that call it a panini or a meal to be made
versus
the backlash.
The backlash.
A bad review and a backlash.
Yeah, just give them the.
I'm dealing with. I can link that to something I'm currently dealing with now, where somebody has got a situation that I'm resolving for them. Now, in their situation, they've gone through something at work. Company now wants to resolve it with them. Yeah, the company, on the sake of accountability, the company don't want to say they're accountable for something, so they want to settle with them. That means we're settling, but we're not taking accountability. Yeah, that's on the company side.
So just to explain. There's no need to change a policy. There's no need to change a procedure.
No, something's happened.
isolated incident.
And we're saying that we're not responsible, we're not accountable, but we will
we're willing to settle.
Yeah. Okay. Now, where the accountability also lands on to me is where I'm dealing with a person and they're saying, do you think this is a good idea for me to accept this settlement? And I'm saying, I'm not going to be accountable for you accepting it. You need to do your own research and come back with your own decision.
But what are you there for then?
I'm there to advise.
But I'm asking you for advice.
And my advice.
And you said go and research it.
That is exactly my advice.
That's
my subscription.
No. My advice is go and do your own research, because what it is, you see that there's certain things you can't give a decision on. You can't really give a decision on pensions. You certainly can't give a decision on something like that. Because if they now turn around and say they're not happy with it, your decision is what has been hit. They have to be the people that make their own decisions.
So when I used to work in banking and I had to do mortgage advice, not full financial advice, but advice on financial products, there was always a statement I had to read out.
Yes, because you can't be held accountable for their decision. If it goes and they're not happy with it,
so this is for information purposes only. You can make a decision based on the back of this information which I'm sharing with you.
And then we had PPI.
You still claim on.
Yeah. So, you know what? Jumping onto what Sirelli's talking about, within your own friend circles, do you hold your friends accountable for their behaviour?
Some of them.
You do?
I mean, some of them we blame alcohol, but yeah.
No, but how
blame cakes.
No, but how would you do that? Like, and it's funny because Citrus was talking about your own moral standards may be a certain level, but you may not necessarily, with kids or with other people, you can't hold them to that standard. Within your own circle, though, surely you would want people in your circle at your standard.
No.
No,
so it doesn't work like that.
No.
So our friend circle, we are definitely culturally aligned and experienced aligned, much closer than someone I might meet off the street.
Right, yeah.
So if you act out of pocket from our cultural upbringing, you will very quickly be brought into account for your behavior.
So you would bring, let's say, if you saw me doing something off key or
outlandish,
whatever, you would not. No, not outlandish, because that's an extreme. Let's just say that something that you don't.
You said
feel,
off key. That's even slightly off.
Let me just say something like you see me doing something that you don't believe morally.
Like let's give an example.
Yeah, exactly.
You see Wiley with not underage girl, but a young girl. All right.
And I'm saying that very loudly.
I didn't say underage.
Would never happen.
I got so upset about it.
Yeah,
but you see him with a young thing.
No. It would never happen.
But
okay.
Man, let's give an example.
Let's go example.
Right. So you see him with a young thing, and you're saying to yourself, well, boy, while the age gap, where are you pulling him up on it, or are you saying to yourself, you know what, he's found somebody that he likes, let him just do him?
I'm 47, she's 22. So morally, you look at that and think, yeah, it's legal, but it's not right. What do you approach that and say, you know what, that ain't right, or
approach and say, well,
what's it like being a 22-year-old black?
Bro, experience, yeah?
No.
What are they doing?
No, like the like in our friend group,
yes,
the conversation will definitely come up.
Yeah.
So
not in a group though.
No.
No, I don't think
maybe in the group.
Not to begin with.
Not in the MT group, but I think there'll be a
in the subset group.
There'll be an intervention or something.
That you might get invited to.
Realistically, if there is, I mean, I know that was an extreme example, but anything like that, someone who's excessively drinking, someone that's
he starts gambling,
excessively gambling, doing something which, as you said, is a bit out of pocket. So I would see it as my responsibility as your friend to pull you aside and say, yo, you're moving kind of mad. What's going on?
And I've got to say, the response may be, moving mad in whose eyes? I'm happy in doing what I'm doing.
And here's the thing, though.
It depends on your position.
No, here's the thing, though.
Because you said about gambling. You just mentioned
gambling.
gambling.
That's a good example.
Yeah, so I was like, well, I'm gambling. I'm making money. Leave me the
or not, and then we know as your friend group, you not saying that it is, but you've got a son, you've got to pay football fees for his blah blah blah. Your son needs shoes and a new jumper, but you're about
and it gets worse. Yeah, yo, Tongo, let me get £50. Yo, ready, let me get 100.
Yeah, right.
Yo, why?
But the thing is, it's not happening all at the same time.
Yeah,
it's Tongo. Cut his hair for him. I'll sort you out whenever. That never happens. Oh, really? Yeah, I was supposed to buy him his birthday present, but I forgot. You're in the area. Can you buy it? And
grab me one.
Grab it. Because it never happens with that kind of direct. Thing. Yeah, Rain, can I borrow £500? It's the little subtle things. Oh, Rain, you got them trainers? Yeah, let me have them. My little man wants them. I'll sort you out when. And you know,
as and when.
Yeah, you don't see them. It's only when they start to pile that you start to like rah.
And then the man them start talking. What? He owes you £50?
Yeah. And the thing is, they won't necessarily say it to each other, but they'll because Rain ain't gonna tell nobody.
I bought him and his missus dinner.
But here's the thing though. So there's a difference in saying, I'm gonna give you advice, like, you know what, listen, you're gambling, you've got a problem, to, bruv, what are you doing? You're using your children's money on gambling. That for me is different. The difference of advice to holding someone to account.
No, I think there's a slight difference between the two. Because, as we said on the last podcast, the smoke alarm versus the flames. Do you know what I mean? At what point do you at what point do you heed the warnings? You get what I mean? Now, if I'm seeing something that an activity Tongo's doing and I'm like, yo, bro, I don't like this.
It's not best for you.
What's going on? Do you know what I mean? Like, our friend circle is close enough that I can ask him the direct question. And it might sound raw, it might sound like, do you know what I mean? It's an attack or whatever it is, but our relationship is that solid that I can turn around and say, listen, this don't look right to me. It don't sound right to me. What's going on?
But to whose standards? You know that's the pushback.
I literally just said, this don't look right to me. Okay. It don't sound right to me. What's going on? He might turn around and say, well, I know I'm gambling, but I'm $4,500 up.
I've always been gambling. You just went away.
And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I thought you were down. So, you know what I mean? Just control it.
I mean,
bro.
it has ups, it has downs.
Yeah, but just control it because it's a slippery slope. And I'm now aware of it, which means periodically I'm gonna come back and check on him and like, yo, well gone for your thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, I ain't spoken to you in a while. How's it going? Yo, I'm down, you know. Well, bro, this is the thing that I kind of spoke to you about in the first place, blah, blah, blah. And that's me turning around and being that checkpoint to turn around and say, you may or may not see what's happening or what's going on. I would turn around and say to you, look, I think at this point, we need to stem that behavior.
So, on the same premise of what Mr. Boom was saying, do you hold everybody here accountable for their own, I don't want to say their own progression?
A wise old man said to me, expect everyone to be who they are.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't wise. It was kind of old. But we can't turn around and try. So, and this is where, when we look at the stages of holding each other to standard about accountability, we have to turn around and be honest with ourselves and say, you know what? Wiley will never get caught walking around with a young woman. Wiley will never get caught turning around and walking around with the British flag on his back. Rain would never get caught in a tight space smelling of BO. Tongo will never get caught thinking of alcohol. Wiley will never get caught. Buddy will never get caught missing work because, you know what I mean, he just couldn't bother to get up or blah, blah, blah. So as soon as any of these kind of trigger points, or red flags come up, yo, bro, what's going on?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And the same way, if you guys see me slipping in any area, I'm expecting that call. It may not be right now, but I'm expecting that phone call like, yo,
not everyone listens.
What's going on?
No, not everyone does listen. But it's your moral, we talk about moral compass or whatever it was. It's your moral time to say, right, I'm seeing the you going down that down.
But I don't want to hear it, Rain. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
Nobody likes to be faced with accountability.
No one does, and that's probably what my point is. Like, I don't want to hear. If you're going to sit there and tell me something that I don't want to hear, and you're going to come down on me like, rah, realistically, this whole podcast was actually about getting you to take accountability. Accountability for what? For the blah, blah, blah that you did. And I'm like, all right, so you're all coming at me. And then for me, I'm like, no, when I'm shelling up, I don't want to talk to you, or you. I don't want to talk to none of you.
That's
like,
fine then.
Because you've now annoyed me, and I don't want to take. I don't want to hear what you're saying.
Feelings.
You don't want to take accountability.
but what it is it's a couple of things, and this is something that I downloaded earlier. There's something called denigration. Have any of you heard of it?
No, go on.
I've heard of it. You have to explain what it is. Me to remember what it is.
Denigration, when not accepting responsibility, often manifests as deflection. So when individuals shift blame to others or external factors to avoid accountability for their actions or decisions, and can be a defense mechanism, particularly common in those with narcissistic traits or low self-esteem.
What's it called? Say again?
Denigration.
Yeah.
So
like that word.
this is something which I used to do a lot of workshops based on denigration. And it's about people with low outputs. So you work in a team, everyone else is performing at 8 out of 10, you're performing at a 5 out of 10. I then say, Rain, fix up. You're not doing well. Wiley's done this, Rayleigh's done that, Tongo's done that, Buddy's done that. And you say, I'd be able to do the same, but Buddy never sent me the email. Wiley didn't do this, Rayleigh didn't do this. It's not my fault. You know, if they did what they were meant to do, I'd be performing the same level of them. Well, my question back to you is, did you prompt Buddy and say, yo, you know that email was meant to send me last week, you haven't sent it. So bro, can you send it now while I'm on the phone? When I've got it, then I can act on it. Or do you get what I mean? So as soon as you turn around and deflect away and say, it's not me, it's them, then it's a problem. This happens a lot in accountability in relationships.
I'm guessing we're going to come on to that.
And I'm using this as a segue for Relly, is in your relationship, when things start going wrong, and then we say, yo, bro, what's going on? You and the missus, you lot don't seem to be vibing. Well, she's done this, she's done this, she's done this, she's done that. And we're here to hear all of that. But the real question is,
what have you done?
Thank you, Tongo. Nothing, to be fair. But all right, what have you done? Do you get what I mean? And at that point, if you're not willing to hear it, like Buddy said, to say, well, I'm now not going to speak to you because I'm not trying to hear where I've gone wrong in all of this. This is where the whole narcissism and everything else comes in. There's a point where when all the lights go out and the music goes off and the TV switches off and you're lying on your bed and your thoughts go around your head, it takes a special kind of person not to reflect on themselves and say, at what point was I accountable?
And that is the word that Wally was trying to say, the cognitive dissonance, which is you want to lose weight. I want to lose weight. I really want to lose weight. However, I don't go to the gym when I'm supposed to.
I don't eat healthily.
I don't go to sleep at a reasonable time, but I really want to lose weight. And that's the part that 99% of people struggle with, because the will is there to do it, but the follow through is what then, and it's not to anybody else. The biggest part of accountability is being accountable to yourself.
Is anyone in the room 100% accountable to themselves?
No, I lie to me all the time because that's the easiest way for me to allow myself to get away with nonsense.
Explain the lie. What do you mean?
So, I'm meant to jog 5 miles a day. I'm meant to do 100 press-ups every day. I'm meant to eat greens, eat healthy fats, drink water. Oh, I went in the fridge, but the water wasn't in the fridge. And I don't want to drink hot water because I don't like the taste.
So I'm going to drink orange juice.
So I'm going to drink orange juice because that was in the fridge. You know? Only if I put the water in the fridge, I got to remember next time. Or, wow, I missed my alarm, so I'm not going to go to the gym today. Should you have gone to the gym today? Yes. Can you still make space for the gym? Probably. Are you going to? Well, no. And I find excuses within myself.
We all do it.
And the more excuses I find within myself and justify it to myself, the more nonsense activities I can get on. And when Wiley says, I thought you were losing weight, you're still looking kind of chubby around the midriff. I'm like, yo, bro, shut up. Talk about yourself. You're going bald. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm going to deflect. I'm not going to accept any of that. I'm going to push it away. However, when I sit back and look at myself and realize that alarm went off at 6:10, where I'm meant to get up
every day because it's set to that,
go and do the jog, and I don't do the jog, Who am I lying to?
But if you had an alarm for 6 o'clock to go to work to make sure you was on time for work, you would do it.
The reward is different.
Just 5 more minutes.
No, but the thing is, the standards. What Mr. Wiley's trying to
5 more minutes alarm.
Is the accountability that you have to yourself, which is what Sidros was saying, and the accountability you have to someone else. It doesn't scale up because
that's people for you though.
Yeah, but still, you're the most important person in your life, bro. If I was a smoker and I've been saying I want to stop someone, I want to quit smoking, I want to quit smoking, I want to quit smoking, but every
time you go to a supermarket, you buy a pack of 20.
Even worse, when the missus is buying shopping, I tell her, put cigarettes on it for me. Shopping's getting delivered. I know that I'm a smoker, and I know if it's there, I'm going to smoke it. But yet still, I'm not doing it. So somebody once told me, if something is important enough for you, you will do it. It doesn't matter what it is. If you want to quit smoking, you will do it if it's important enough. There's no such thing as an addiction that you cannot conquer. There's no relationship that you cannot overcome if it's important enough to you.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that. You can't say if it's important to you because
if it is important enough to you,
that's not the
you will make
factor.
it happen.
That's not the determining factor because even when you use weight loss as well, I kind of thought to myself, there are people out there who will sit there and say this is the most important thing to them. They want to go to the gym. But like Citrus just said, sometimes it's like,
cognitive dissonance.
No, but it's an excuse they make to themselves. And I'm not justifying it, but you saying if it's important enough to you, you will make it happen. That's not the truth. Wiley loves going to Liverpool Football Club. Like, he loves Liverpool Football Club. Why have you not got a season ticket? Why do you not go to every single game? Is it not important enough to you? It's not important enough to him, but there are other things that he's saying to say to himself, it just doesn't make important. It. Not that it's more important, but sometimes it's just a case of it just doesn't work out. And there's certain things that you say, like I said about the gym and the weight loss. Sometimes it's like, it doesn't work out. I've got to go to work. I have to go to work.
But that's accountability.
It's not accountability. You've just turned and said something. It has to be important enough to you for you to take accountability for doing it. Yeah. And I disagree with that. It's not
give an example of something, because you said that and he just admitted if it was that important to him, he would find the money to buy the season ticket. So give us another example.
But I've got other priorities
which are more important. So give us an example. Give you
the weight loss.
Choose anyone.
Who can I go for? Go for T. All right, then. Is work important enough to you?
What do you mean?
Like, is work important to you?
Yeah, why?
Right, so work's important. Yeah, why? I mean,
I'll give you money after the show.
When something's important to you, you can't sit there and say that they will take accountability for it. Because depending on the person,
you're chatting shit, and I'm so sorry. If you were told your weight today, if you continue this weight for the next 6 months, you're probably going to die. You're going to develop diabetes and like high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and you're going to die. So what I'm suggesting to you as your practitioner is you change your lifestyle today or plan your funeral.
It's too extreme.
Okay.
One second. It is not extreme, bro.
That is too extreme.
No.
Because you've used a life or death situation.
Okay,
that's too extreme.
No. Wait, one second.
I haven't got a choice.
Bro, no. You have a choice. And the difference is how important it is. So really use the word, how important it is to you. I walked into and this is me being personal. I walked into the doctors and they said, listen, sir, you have high blood pressure. I said, well, you have high blood pressure. I'm like, I don't eat red meat. I drink occasionally every other Thursday at the podcast. I don't smoke. Do you know what I mean? I live a relatively healthy lifestyle. What do you mean I've got high blood pressure? Well, if you don't do this and this and this and this and that, your high blood pressure will be coupled with high cholesterol and you probably won't see the age of 50. What? At this point, I was 32. Huh? Yeah, your mum's got high blood pressure, your dad's got high blood pressure, your sister's got high blood pressure, your family have a history of high blood pressure. Therefore, this is inherent to you. If you do not change your lifestyle, you are not going to see the age of 50. I'm like, wait, my uncle, my granddad, my grandma all died nearly 100 years old. Why me now ain't going to see 50? Well, you now need to start doing this, doing that, and doing the other. They gave me a whole list of things to do. The first 3 weeks,
Citrus was offering me his drinks.
Bless. Everything was blessed. Then we went restaurant. And it was like, what? We can get a steak. Well, it's only one. So now I'm making a decision through the doctor's advice and steak with a man. And then if I'm ordering a salad with olives, Buddy's like, right, what's wrong with
So what did you order?
I had the steak, but it was a decision. You get what I mean?
Bro, but
it was a decision.
No.
And because of that conversation, I then decided, because of the conversation with the doctor, I then decided lifestyle-wise that where I would be having fried food and things like pizza and this, that, and the other, and blah, and sweets, all of these things got cut out. Where it's like, let's go and have a drink and blah, blah, blah. No fizzy drinks, no thanks. Really told me I'm not allowed to eat crisps, no thanks. I was told you can't have grapefruit, no. All of these things were choices because it was important enough to me. I had to make a choice to do so. I'm just gonna finish the last point. So I had this conversation, acted this way. There are other members of my family that had the same conversation. They still have the fried food. They still drink the alcohol almost every other day. They still do this, still do that, and they're not dead. So they're like, well, the doctor don't know what they're talking about because I'm still here. Now, I am not willing to risk the advice versus the lifestyle. So I will make alterations to make it make sense for me. Mm-hmm. If you're not willing to do that for you, that's your choice. But if in X amount of time something had happened and we're like, yo, bud, remember when the doctor said, you better not do this because this could happen. And now this happened. And you're like, wow, why me? Come on, bro. We've heard that too many times.
You're not holding yourself to account.
Well, but you're sitting there saying it's not important enough to you. Like I said, a good one for him. All right, you giving up rum and Carnival?
If it meant to prolong my life, of course I am.
You ain't giving up rum and Carnival.
I find it winding off words. My words are getting so, because we're going on like to say people make decisions and if your life is at risk.
That's the only reason why.
No. Yeah. Listen, Tribe Called Quest, Fife, he died because of diabetes. His issue was he was a sugar addict. They said to him at 19, you continue having sugar, you will die young. Regardless of that, he couldn't help it because his addiction was sugar. So irrespective, you could say life and death is going to be the reason why someone will make a decision. And people take hard drugs and take the hard drugs and still do that, knowing they're going to put their lives at risk because they are addicted. So we can't just say it's a choice that, you know what, if your life is at risk, you're going to make that decision. Decisions don't necessarily mean you're going to make that decision and make the right one. An addiction, you can't play with it. Can't play with it.
And sugar, you said it's determining factors.
That's what I'm saying. So for me, I agree with that point. Sugar is something that some people might not even look at as something. But when we got diabetes, and listen, I'm a guy that loves sugar, you know. If I ever had diabetes, I'd be finished. Because I would not be able to survive not having, no, jokes aside, I would not be able to survive without having anything that had sugar because I'm a sugar fix. Yeah. Seriously. And that's a real life for some people. So yeah,
one thing I do agree with, people will make choices and they will make excuses for certain actions that they do. You will do to yourselves as well. Like, so I will sit there and say, I never went to the gym today because I've got a funeral to plan for. All right. And I'm making excuses of why I couldn't have gone. You could have gone for an hour and then you could have carried on doing what you was doing. You chose not to go. All right. Not that you couldn't have gone, you chose not to. And I understand that. But there are some people that will actually understand to themselves, like, at the end of the day, if I'm I'm accountable for my actions. Anything that I do, all right, I'm accountable for. My business, my business being up, my business being down, my business, my life, my money, my money in my account, my child, I'm accountable for these things. And I kind of see to myself, these are things that I'm accountable for. And I don't sit there and shirk my responsibilities in those ways. So when you said about people make excuses for it, I think you can make excuses for it. You're right, people do make excuses for it, but I don't believe it's the way that you've put it. That's what I would like to say.
So I made a statement earlier, and to be honest, I want to hear Rain's opinion, I want to hear Tongo's opinion. You've been kind of quiet. And yourself, Wiley, about holding yourself accountable. I think there is a very big area where as men in their 40s, we hold ourselves accountable to certain things, and other things it's easy to blame society. So just with that very broad statement, to be fair to all five of you, I want to hear your opinion on that.
Sorry, just before you answer that, we're coming kind of close to the end, but I want to give you something to think about so we can have something to close with. I want you to think of one thing that you, from today, will hold yourself accountable for. Because everybody has something that they can improve their life on, and they have been making excuses for, and they've put it to the back seat, whatever the case may be. So think of something that from today, make a little pact. I'm going to hold myself accountable to that. And then saying it out to somebody else in this group means that you've now put it out there, so we can now hold each other to accountability on that.
I would say, and it's funny because the question I was going to ask around the room was, what percentage do we say we would hold ourselves accountable? I would say I hold myself accountable around about 60%. 60%. I'll be honest with myself. There's things that I would like to hold myself accountable for, but I know myself. I know who I am. So I would like to hold myself accountable. Okay, this week, I said to myself, I'm going to sit down. I'm playing out at a party on Saturday. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to set aside a day where I'm going to go through a load of my tunes, sort my stuff out, be ready for Saturday. Yeah? What I ended up doing, you know what? One night, I'm too tired, you know? You know what? I'm working late. I can't do it this night. You know what? I've got to do some other work. I can't do it that night. Podcast tonight. I can't do it this night. Before you know it, the week's gone through. So where I should have held myself accountable and said, no, I've got a certain thing to do it. I've made so many excuses for it. I'm now going to be chasing my tail on the end of the week to do something for Saturday. That really is where it comes down to me not holding myself accountable. But I know myself. So I know that I do hold myself accountable for some things, but for some things, 100% I make excuses. And I think that generally is it. So I would say 100%, 60% would be where I would scale myself in terms of that.
Does anybody around you hold you accountable?
My partner holds me accountable. Some of my friends hold me accountable. Some of my colleagues hold me accountable, but not in ways of accountable of my behavior, but accountable of getting things done. My partner holds me accountable of my behavior. That's one thing she does do.
How do you respond when you get pulled up for...
Negatively.
Where's that?
Because I have to hear something. You know what? I don't know about with everyone else around the room. If you say something to me, it's like a critique. I won't respond to it immediately with a positive reaction, but I will hear it later on down the line.
Yeah, I'm the same.
I will hear it and then I will process it in my own way. And I have to go through that process in order to do something. So if it's something about me that I'm doing that isn't done well, I've got to process it in my own way. And then you're likely to say, you know what, you heard what I said, you just had to do it your own way, but you did it. And that's just how I will take any sort of critique in that way.
Not to deep dive on you, but just tell us one thing before we kind of round up. Why do you think you take it negatively initially? What is it? Because is it their tone? Is it their...
Because I know my intentions for things I do. So I'm not a perfectionist, but I'm as close to a perfectionist as I can be. So when I give 100% for something, if I go in, I go in. So if I've gone all the way in and it hasn't given the outcomes that I think it should have given, and I'm now being critiqued on it, I don't take it well. But
the defense mechanism.
Yeah, but I will then reflect on it and come back and say, actually, you know what? Looking at it, it was this, it was that, the other. That's how I will have to deal with it.
All right. Buddy, this pledge, what are you going to hold yourself accountable for more and are happy to say in this forum that we can also help you with?
I don't have anything to mind, to be fair. Like,
he's perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I wouldn't say I'm perfect, bro. I like anybody. I've got my flaws, bro, and I'll hold myself accountable for my flaws. You know what I mean? I got no problems with that. But I sit there and say to myself, if anything I've got to change, to be honest with you, I will change within my own household, and it will be a case of things that I would fix in my house. But at the moment, my household, I'm not sitting there saying it's perfect, but I'm happy within my household and within what's going on within my house. So I'm
you're
fine.
Not prepared to say anything to hold yourself to account.
Not on camera.
Yeah,
not on
that's
camera.
fine. That's fine.
Tongo? I feel for it.
Try not to procrastinate so much.
That's a really good one. And that's really big of you to say, because that's something that I think 99% of people find hard to deal with and to admit that that's a situation. So well done. Citrus?
excuses are my best friend. So I already know I will justify if I haven't done certain things. So part of my autistic ADHD brain says I have to write things down and give myself a timeline when to complete. If I do not hit, shut up, Wiley. If I do not hit this list by this timeline, I will justify it to myself and make an excuse why this isn't done, why this isn't done, why that isn't done. And part of me knows it's a lie. Or part of me knows that, a lie is quite strong. Part of me knows that I'm giving myself a space for an excuse. And if I was to be true to myself, I'd say, no. These 10 things you said you were going to do for yourself this week, you can do them. And if I haven't done them and it's day 6 out of 7, I would then turn and say, well, that has to wait till next week and this has to wait till this because...
I was busy working.
Yeah, I'm busy doing this, I'm busy doing that. Well, actually, if I timelined it properly, held myself to account on a daily basis and accounted myself to myself by justifying it, and I'm saying out aloud, talk to yourself in the mirror or whatever the case is, I know as soon as I change my mindset, all of a sudden things happen. You don't know. If I have a breakup, my productivity level shoots up 10,000.
Don't say that out loud. Now people are going to be...
You don't know. I can't lie about it. All of a sudden, I didn't hone in and say, well, my focus is now very strictly just on me. You get what I mean? I have no reason to look at her or at them or at us. Me. What am I doing to make me better? What am I doing to improve me? So therefore, the level I hold myself accountable is much stronger and higher to when I can justify saying, but Ray needed me to wash his car, Ray needed me to follow him to the dry cleaners, Buddy wanted to learn how to make curry goat, blah, blah. So now I'm going to find all excuses under the sun to justify why I haven't done the things that I said I was going to do. But ultimately, I hold myself account to myself. So when I make this list, I use one book and I do a new page every week or every other week. And then what I do to check the accountability is I'll go back 3 months and read through what that list looked like and see, wow, actually, you ain't done you know what I mean? Fix up. Or you've done really well, here's your reward. Go buy yourself a new pair of trainers.
I like that.
Rain.
I'm not sure I get the question, but I'm gonna. I hold.
It was, what do you hold yourself accountable for, and how?
I just hold myself accountable for my actions. I'm a very planned and calculated person. So everything I do is like I think of things in the future and I think about eventualities and what can happen. Like even coming today, like so I said to you guys yesterday, I might not make it. The reason being,
and we opened champagne. I can't lie.
Wow. Don't tell him that now. That's why you never got to say your name. But I said to you yesterday, right? I might not be able to make it because I've factored in. I've got this to do. I've got this to do. I've got this to do. The accountability is obviously the we work as a what is it, a quintet? Is quintet 6?
No,
that's 5 or 6.
Sextuplet.
Sextuplet. Well done. Yeah. So we work as a sextuplet. Immature, man. Immature.
We know.
If we go down to
in the mic as well.
If we go down to a quintet, I have the obligation to let you guys know. It's not about I'm just not coming or just not turning up. So I hold myself account, but it's because I plan and I think about things. I quite similar do things like what you do. I don't do it as extreme as you do. You say you write a whole page of stuff to do. Is that on a daily basis or?
No. When I do the list, they are normally the week's list or maybe 2 or 3 days worth.
I do 3 things a month, and I've just got to achieve those 3 things.
But to be fair, Rain, one of the things are wash your trainers.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
What do you mean?
So I might just turn around and say, get some salt, put it in a bucket.
What trainers? Like
wash your crepe.
Huh?
Don't say that to him. He's
why are you trying to upset him?
Why do you even wear them? You just walk around barefoot.
You wear trainers?
But like the thing is, so I'll list minute tasks.
Yeah.
I'll also list quite heavy duty tasks because for me they fulfill my week.
So
and some fill me with endorphins.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like ticking it off or put a line.
It put something like switch on the light. I switched on the light today.
But,
I mean, it's mad.
But putting a line through that to say
Makes him feel
it's an accomplishment, and that helps me drive forward on my list.
So my list, I'm just gonna put Wiley's sitting next to me, so you can see like these are my lists. Past 30 days, May, you can see them.
Yep.
This is going back to 2023, 22, 21. So new phone. So these are all my things that I've achieved. I can look back, and they're all ticked off. And some of them are little things like do the roundup. You know what I mean? Or it might be make sure that you apply to that email from blah blah blah. But that's how I do it. I hold myself accountable. I can go back and measure my success to 2020 to 2021.
Yeah. Well, I've said it before. I'm going to try and say it, and I'll try and hold myself accountable to it, which is making time be more productive. I try and make the most out of all of my time, where I don't actually slow down my time. What I need to do is to try and focus on spending time with people, as opposed to being productive with time, and that's probably something I need to hold myself more accountable for. That'd be my answer.
I like that. For me, it's a little bit complicated, and the reason why I say that is because my natural instinct is to help others. Like, I'm one of those people that I don't like to disappoint others, and I think in the past that's been a failing for me. So if you ask me to do something, if Buddy asked me to do something, I'll try and help you out, and then Citrus asked me to do something an hour later, I would, instead of saying no to Citrus, I will try to do both of them, knowing that I'm probably not going to be able to be at two places at the same time, one in South London, one in West London for 12:30, for example. So that's one of the things that I've now, over the last few years, have given myself a target of being accountable for, of understanding my limitations almost, and understanding what is possible, and giving myself almost like a fighting chance. So, you know, when we're talking about things that if it's important enough to you, you'll make time for it. I need to make myself that most important part of my accountability, if that makes sense.
Sorry, can I just jump in something? I thought the question was something that we're willing to share that the rest of us are going to hold each other accountable for.
So, like I just said, accountability for me is making sure that I give myself more time. So if you want to hold me accountable to it,
then we got to hold you accountable.
You got to hold me accountable to it. I don't know what more I can say. Or
no, I'm just wondering because it doesn't seem that's what the question everyone answered.
No problem.
That's what I was just getting.
Don't antagonize my brethren, bro.
And on that bombshell,
yes, this has been the eMpTy podcast, and if the cup ain't half full,
rough.
It's
glass.
I'm not even
to buy creeper.
That blue ball will definitely make one of the clips 100%.
Diddy's got a bus case.
Russ.
Wow.
He is.
Did he take the stand?
It don't matter.
No.
Nothing's dropped.
Wow.
And all they're holding them account to now is, do you reckon?
Enough people got paid.
Do you reckon?
No, no, it's not people got paid. It's if I go down, you go down. Too many names got dragged down.
Yeah,
enough of the original thing, sex trafficking. No, not sex trafficking. It's all been dropped. It's all been dropped. Yeah, and it's kind of, the things that are in there are the stuff if he forced Cassie to do. I can't remember.
Yeah.
He's gonna bust case.
Yeah,
but I'm telling you that for free.
He's busting case.
He's gonna bust case.
People that could have talked. Yeah,
and when he
they
comes
ain't
out,
talking no more.
Yeah,
is there something on drop?
See, he's gonna drop album.
He's don't do music like that. Never happened.
Yeah, you watch.
I didn't get onto the Jim Jones one.
Yeah,
I think he might be lost. I know Buddy's a hip hop man, so he would know.
Buddy's not a hip hop man.
Jim Jones. What happened with Jim Jones?
Buddy's not a hip hop man like that. He's not a hip hop man like that, man.
Yeah.